Social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative.
You're 6 minutes away from a live episode of Free Talk Live. Listen live at freetalklive.com.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk, thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia says he cannot support the bill because of concerns over the rising national debt, inflation and the pandemic. Nina Maria Potts reports from Washington.
Well, his decision not to back it and the fact that he himself is a Democrat is pretty much fatal for President Biden's flagship legislation. He says he's worried about the national debt, which stands at more than 29 trillion US dollars, and he's worried about inflation and tax reform hurting people more than ever before. Democrats needed to secure the vote of all 50 US senators from their party, with the Republicans in the Senate both opposed and united. So the Democrats need every one of their votes for the evenly divided Senate for the legislation to pass. So it's clear now that it's not going to pass. The White House is absolutely furious. The administration had been hoping for a compromise deal.
The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. The country is braced for a wave of Omicron infections that's expected to hit the country's health services and economy. Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN there would be a significant stress on hospitals, particularly in parts of the country with low vaccination rates. In a separate interview with NBC, he warned Christmas travel would hasten the spread of the new Omicron variant, even in vaccinated people. He urged Americans to get their shots and boosters and said even vaccinated people should continue taking other measures such as wearing masks while travelling or gathering indoors. President Joe Biden is planning to update the nation on his administration's response to the situation on Tuesday. His press secretary Jen Psaki said it would include a stark warning for the millions of still unvaccinated Americans. Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. Since it slammed into the country's southern and central areas on Thursday with wind speeds of more than 195 kilometres per hour, the devastating storm has displaced more than 300,000 people from their homes. Rai made 9 landfalls before leaving the West Philippine Sea, flattening homes, felling trees and causing landslides and flooding. It's also damaged critical infrastructure such as phone lines, making it even harder for authorities to communicate with the affected communities. Local officials say this has made it harder to assess the extent of the damage and the number of fatalities as well. Rescue efforts are underway. Thousands of members of the police, military, coast guard and fire services have been deployed to assist. The Philippines sits in the Pacific Ring of Fire and is used to being hit by around 20 typhoons every year. From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more detail at the COVID-19 lockdown that has begun in the Netherlands just in time for Christmas. Prime Minister Mark Rutte called the move unavoidable given the spread of the Omicron variant. He told a Saturday news conference that he was in a sombre mood as he unveiled details of the measure. All non-essential shops are now closed until January the 14th. All schools shuttered until at least January the 9th in a bid to prevent the country's hospitals from being overwhelmed. Reporter Stephanie van der Berg is in The Hague.
We're just coming off of the 4th wave with the Delta variant, which means that Dutch hospitals have basically cancelled everything but critical care. Christmas is not quite cancelled, but it is very, very much smaller than it used to be. Now the advice is that you can have 2 people visiting your home per day. For Christmas, that will be expanded to 4 people. For most families that like to celebrate Christmas together, 4 people from outside your family bubble generally doesn't make up the entire family that would want to come for Christmas. So it's a lot of people trying to calculate who they can invite and how.
More than 85% of the adult population in the Netherlands is fully vaccinated using the old double-shot yardstick, but fewer than 9% of adults had received their booster as of Saturday. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. And Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. That is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in
Geneticists gathered at a conference this week to debate the ethics of cloning human beings and compelling them to fight to the death in a rock-filled pit for our amusement. Experts at the conference reportedly discussed questions key to the scientific field, such as the morality of arming hundreds of clones with maces and pitting them against each other on a small platform surrounded by molten lava.
Cloning humans and goading them into viciously battling certainly raises ethical questions. It's important that we consider this topic with an open mind. Whether or not we should be stranding clones on a desert island, assigning them weapons by a lottery system, and making them murder one another tournament style remains a matter up for debate.
And in this week's local news, a man is wearing a low-cut swimsuit as though a public pool is some kind of sun-kissed Sardinian cove. In other news, China's veteran reporters blast the decline of traditional state-run journalism. A new study finds human hearing is most acute when listening to arguing parents from the top of the stairs. And fireflies almost managed to salvage a local man's day.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Like Omicron. Gag me with the needle. Wait, is it Omicron? 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 I don't know. This is Free Talk Live, however. That I do know. The telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160. The captain makes his triumphant return. I was out last week. I was having a bit of an issue with my voice. I couldn't talk. I had some sort of a weird cold thing.
It wasn't the one-niner.
It was not the Omicron. A little bit of a sniffle, and then my voice went out, and I was just like, I'm going to talk like this, and it wouldn't have been very friendly to the radio. So sadly I had to take a night off. But
I was out last week too.
Were you?
Yes, I wasn't sick, but for other reasons.
I did not miss you because I was also out. Otherwise, I would have missed you, Nikki. And also, we have
Steve Classic. Stay 6 feet away, please. I heard every news story is that the Omicron is everywhere. So I just took some extra precaution tonight because New Hampshire, and I guess everything like the hospitals are overflowing. There's dead people in the driveways.
And let's just take a minute and discuss the precautions that Steve Classic has taken. For those of you who are not watching the video feed, because there is one over at, I think it's video.freetalklive.com, you have the classic Tyvek suit. This is the full white zip-up with the hood. You've got, of course, headphones on so you can hear what we're doing here on the show. You've got some safety goggles.
Yes.
It appears. You've got some sort of a face covering, a mask, and some gloves as well that look, you look like you are not going to get contaminated.
Well,
by
I could probably help the National Guard picking up all the bodies in the driveways. That's what I could maybe help do some of that while I'm up here in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Are there boots as well? You wearing boots?
Yes.
I can't really.
I don't know if you can see
like straight up galoshes.
Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive.
Wouldn't want any of those bodily fluids getting on my feet.
Yeah, and so you're, of course, dressed this way because of what the media has been telling you.
Oh, Macron. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I heard that 1 million people a day are going to get... I don't want it, so I'm taking all prophylactic precautions.
Nice. Body condom underneath the suit?
Well, we'll see at the next commercial break. Or if you're listening on the radio, you can only imagine it's like theater of the mind.
Yeah, use your imagination.
Yeah.
The limits of the imagination. All right. We have all sorts of fun things to talk about, but let's go to your calls and thoughts right away. We have Sam calling from Ohio. Sam, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on last night. You guys had a thing on about New York and their COVID craziness, but it seems like here in Ohio, like people who have believed in it the whole way through are acting just as crazily as they are there.
Why do you suppose that is?
The mind-screwingness that the media did.
I can't agree more.
Like you were joking about.
Go ahead.
Like you were joking about in the intro, the guy wearing the full Tyvek suit.
That's Steve Classic.
That wasn't a joke.
Yeah, it is.
I'm scared. I read all the headlines. I'm just prepared.
It is insane to me that the powers that be, normally referred to by most folks as government, these people who did the lockdowns, they did enforce the social distancing, force businesses to close, force people to wear masks when, and none of these things worked. None of these things stopped the spread of the original, the OG variant, the Delta variant, nor the Omicron. And so they're doing these things again.
And so that's why I find this crazy. Because I was just telling somebody, they were saying that, well, you not wanting to wear a mask in places where they don't require it is insane. Which has made me angry.
Yeah, I bet it did.
I suggest you just go get a Tyvek suit and just one up the other people. Maybe just, show up, really scare people. The mask, the Tyvek suit, the gloves, the boots, and just walk around in the store and people would just go, well, why are you doing that? Well, it's the Omicron. Aren't you scared to death? All you have is a little paper mask.
And then you can go around and then you can shame all them. I can't believe you're only wearing a mask.
How dare you?
How irresponsible.
Or maybe you could figure out how to fasten a yardstick to the front of yourself and a yardstick to the rear of yourself, and then walk around and just spin around in a circle every now and again. And if you hit anybody, you shame them. You're like, hey, you're not 6 feet away from me.
A 6-foot hula hoop.
Oh, no, I got one even better.
Okay.
So I'm blind, and so I have a white cane, and just stick it out like the yardstick, you're just standing in circles.
That's great, Sam. Hey, thanks for the call tonight. We appreciate it. It is crazy. What's even more crazy is, questions keep popping up or into my mind that I don't have answer to, and I don't know who to ask. For example, you didn't get vaccinated, and you have not contracted COVID, right? Assuming just a
Those
hypothetical.
are the people who are out on the driveways.
Hypothetical situation. You did not contract COVID, and you have not been vaccinated in any way, and then you get COVID. How do you know? Do you get the first strain first before you can get the Delta, and then you can get the, or do you just go straight to Omicron and skip the other two? How does that work?
Well, it depends what you're infected with.
Wow.
But really, they can't. I don't even believe that they can tell the difference with these COVID tests.
That's what I'm saying.
So,
if I go in and I get tested, are they going to be able to say
they won't be able to differentiate?
You've got COVID OG, which is 1.0, right? Or you've got
2.
Delta, which is 2.0, or you've got Omicron, which is now 3.0, right?
There's no actual way to tell, but from what I'm kind of hearing in the media, it seems like they're just kind of nope, now it's all Omicron. Before it was all Delta, and then it was all regular COVID.
Right.
So it seems like
how did that happen?
Real COVID, or COVID OG, so to speak, has been eradicated, which is a miracle.
How did that happen? Certainly wasn't from the vaccination.
Yeah, the media said so.
Because people were still getting breakthrough cases, quote unquote.
Well, the Delta and the Omicron is the result of the vaccination, I suspect.
Omicron.
Yeah. So let's see. What other questions? Oh, yeah. So same scenario, right? You've not contracted COVID and you've not been vaccinated. Do you just go and get the fourth shot and that takes care of the first 3? Or do you have to get the first one and then wait and then get the second one and then wait and then get the third one and then wait and then get the fourth one in order to be considered fully vaccinated?
That'd be 3 months.
Right.
Right? You have to wait a month then for your booster another month.
Like when I'm
3 months.
When I'm installing software on a computer and I go and download some version of some software that I want, I get the latest version immediately. I skip 1.0, 2.3, and all that kind of stuff. Is that how it works with this with these vaccines? Can you just go straight to the fourth one?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you got to get all of them.
You got to get one every month for the rest of your life until it kills you.
You get the toaster. You get the...
Yeah, then you get the free pizza.
And then there's, there has to be people out there who have received, say, round 1 of the vaccines, your choice of flavor, Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer or Moderna, whatever flavor you're into. And then you see that, oh, look, you have to get a second one. And then, you hem and you haw about that. And then all of a sudden, before you could go get it, there's a third one now. And you have to be asking yourself, well, first of all, they, quote unquote, the news and all the science, Mr. Fauci, all got on TV, safe and effective.
Sure.
Okay, well, it's so effective that I need to get a shot 4 times?
Well, they just didn't know.
New and improved.
This technology is just so new that they didn't know. But they know it's safe. They don't know that they don't know how many shots you need.
I think
they do know it's going to be safe.
They need to look up the word effective and safe, I think.
Well, they don't care.
Seems that way to me.
It's getting hot in here. I got to take this off. I'm willing to go for it.
You're gonna sacrifice your
I'll take
COVID sensibilities?
I'll take the Omicron.
All right,
I'll go find some.
The Steve Classic Strip Show over at video.freetalklive. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160 if you'd like to join the conversation tonight. More coming up. This is Free Talk Live.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Brute force, intransigent defiance, adamantine will. These are the hallmarks of the AI tank. These gigantic machines have the firepower of an army, but they also have their own sense of honor and duty. When the world breakers arrive, battle will be joined, planets will shake, and war and peace will never be the same again. World Breakers. Stories from David Weber, Larry Correia, and more. Available August 3rd from BaneBooks.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
You can help more people hear the message of liberty by joining Free Talk Live's AMPS program on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And you'll get access to special perks. Visit amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Free Talk Live. We're a live radio call-in. We're a live nationally syndicated radio call-in program that's also broadcast over the internet and some satellite channels. And I don't know, somebody's probably translating us into Braille somewhere or doing smoke signals to alert the tribes and all that fun stuff. If you want to call and join the conversation, the telephone number you need to dial is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. It is Sunday, so I am here, the Lord Reverend Captain Kickass, with your Sunday edition. Joining me,
Steve Classic, without the Tyvek suit now, if you're watching.
And Nikki,
Sorry,
also
Nikki.
Without a Tyvek suit.
Indeed. Indeed. You didn't bring a suit for everybody, though, huh?
No.
I know, it's kind of rude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We could have looked like Devo or something. Flower pots on
I was
our
at a
head
protest in Hartford today. I was the only one wearing a Tyvek suit. And when you're out there in the cold, the Tyvek really helps the wind resistance.
Tell us about this protest. What was
it was an anti-passport, digital passport thing that our stupid governor is trying to roll out.
So out in Connecticut, what's your your governor's name?
Lamont.
Lamont, like the guy from what do you call it?
I don't know if anyone could see the sign. Lock up Lamont.
Sanford and Son?
Yeah, like Lamont, you big dummy.
You big dummy.
Yeah. So he's trying to implement a passport, but he says it's voluntary with the restaurants and the businesses.
So we're talking COVID passport here.
The digital COVID passport, like the one that's over there.
Does he know what voluntary means?
No, he does not.
Okay.
So I think the restaurateurs and the businesses are basically going to be enslaved to do the government's work to enforce this without pay, which is against the 14th Amendment. It's enslavement.
Well, it's just against good common sense, right?
Well, that too.
If you're a business owner, the last thing you need to be doing is footing the bill for enforcing something that tyrants want to shove down your throat.
Collecting sales tax. And you got to pay the stamp to send the money in.
Right. So was my problem with protests is you can never call them successful.
No.
Because they don't really do anything.
No.
Right? Other than alert other people to the fact that you are against this.
Well, I mean, when it starts, it's, 10 people, 20 people. And then, today, I think we had about 200, 250 people.
Excellent.
On a Sunday, freezing cold before Christmas.
Yeah, that's excellent.
And it does draw attention to the issue. So I would say that does something.
Yeah. I mean, we get a lot of thumbs up, but we get a lot of number ones, too.
So as far as protests go, this one was more successful than other ones.
I think so because, when we first started, it was, 15 days to flatten the curve. So people... or was it 2? Whatever. So on day 16, there's a small bunch that are already fed up.
Yeah.
And then it's the masks, and then a bigger bunch gets fed up, and then the vaccine, then a bigger bunch. So I think the vaccine passports, I think, have just awoken more people saying all right, I've reached my breaking point.
Too far.
Because this is if they get their foot in the door with this, then the whole entire social credit thing that they've done in China is just waiting. All the code is written. All they need to do is flip a switch to turn that bastard on, and all of a sudden we're all in a even worse nightmarish dystopia than we currently are.
Your digital passport has an update. Would you like to do that? Oh, yes. And now it has all social credit score.
You would have no
updates.
choice. It would be like, we're restarting your phone because your thing is updating whether you like it or not
overnight.
in the middle of something important that you're doing.
Exactly. But I the thing is, the digital passports in Connecticut are being rolled out or implemented by the governor's wife and her company or something like that. She's involved with it. But what they're going to do with this is basically they're going to sell your data to advertising agencies. So basically, it's a digital passport, but it's also sucking all the information off your phone, your contacts, what you're watching on Facebook, et cetera, and it's going to sell that data. So it's basically
for your
just
safety?
For your safety. So you can't go into a restaurant.
You want people to be safe, don't you, Nikki?
It's all about keeping you safe.
What about grandma? Do you hate the elderly? What about the children?
You're trying to kill grandma.
How will the roads get built? Oh, wait, no, that has nothing to do with the...
But the roads.
The COVID.
What about the roads?
I'm mixing in M-U-H, right? There's always M, right? M roads, M safety, M grandma. Oh, it is crazy. I can't. I can't believe that they're just like they did all this stuff and none of it worked, and they're like, let's just do it all again. We know it didn't. We know it didn't work the first time.
Oh no, but
we're just gonna do it again.
But it's our fault that it didn't work. That's what all the believers are like. Well, it's all you unvaccinated anti-maskers.
It's a disease of the unvaccinated, right?
Yeah, a disease of the free thinker.
Captain continues.
If you just simply believe that your immune system will take care of it, apparently that makes you evil.
Yeah.
Somehow,
No money to be made on that.
And they don't talk about it very. Like, I'm in this weird category where I had the COVID and I got over it. I know it was COVID because some of the other people here in this studio got it and they went and got tested, and I had the same symptoms as they did at about the same time that they got it. So, I mean, anecdotal, sure. But I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't get an official diagnosis, but I got over it. And so now I'm just like, well, why do I need a shot?
Well, because
let's just assume.
Oh, you had the OG.
Let's just assume,
what about the Omicron?
Right. Let's just assume for a minute that the vaccines actually were safe and effective, right? Why would I need one now? I wouldn't.
Because
I had the thing, I got over it. It's like,
but the new
you
one.
had chickenpox, you got over it. You don't need the chickenpox vaccine.
Wait. The vaccine doesn't work against the new one either.
Oh, right.
You
need a new vaccine. And it didn't work against the first one.
Oh, so you should just get 4.
And then get a toaster.
Isn't the
and
definition
wear a mask while you're doing it.
Isn't the definition of insanity like doing the same thing over and over again?
Expecting different
results.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
Speaking of insanity, there's a real COVID crisis happening. This is breaking news. A real corona crisis. I'm not, like, I'm doing my best to give you my serious voice. This is not a fake crisis. This is a real, true, honest corona crisis that is happening. This was reported on the today, actually, the 19th of 2021 via RT. A truck carrying beer has flipped on a busy highway.
Ooh, they didn't flatten the curve around the highway.
A truck transporting Corona beer bottles overturned in the Netherlands on Sunday, dumping its cargo onto a busy highway and forcing multiple lane closures for over an hour.
Oh my gosh.
The accident occurred near the city of Geleen.
Mask up.
Tragic.
I mean, why isn't this the top story around the world right now? This is a real and true corona crisis. I can't think of a more serious corona crisis than this particular corona crisis.
Breaking news.
Unless you're out of like Lemons or something and you're having a Cinco de Mayo party over a case of corona. To make matters worse, local media outlets have reported that the driver of the truck was probably, quote unquote, under the influence of narcotics. According to the Limburg news site, police confirmed that the driver will be taken for blood tests to prove whether drugs or sleeping pills were involved.
He just had his 4 shots, you know?
He just had his 4th shot.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is next.
And now, time for something totally different. Intercoin is a project that's working to make crypto mainstream. We use the power of smart contracts to help any community in the world launch their own cryptocurrency. Ever wanted to release your own coin or build your own app to grow your business? Intercoin's team builds apps that have reached 9 million people around the world. And now it's time to help make a real social impact in your local community. Go to intercoin.org and join the movement. That's intercoin.org.
You know, when we first started Intercoin about 3 years ago, we had a big vision to help every community in the world have access to the same tools that large states and federations do, to hold local elections on the blockchain, to have their own local currency, shop local, hire local, and help fight the forces of globalization that have decimated some of these communities.
Go to intercoin.org and join the movement.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk, thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia says he cannot support the bill because of concerns over the rising national debt, inflation and the pandemic. Nina Maria Potts reports from Washington.
Well, his decision not to back it and the fact that he himself is a Democrat is pretty much fatal for President Biden's flagship legislation. He says he's worried about the national debt, which stands at more than 29 trillion US dollars, and he's worried about inflation and tax reform hurting people more than ever before. Democrats needed to secure the vote of all 50 US senators from their party, with the Republicans in the Senate both opposed and united. So the Democrats need every one of their votes for the evenly divided Senate for the legislation to pass. So it's clear now that it's not going to pass. The White House is absolutely furious. The administration had been hoping for a compromise deal.
The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. The country is braced for a wave of Omicron infections that's expected to hit the country's health services and economy. Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN there would be a significant stress on hospitals, particularly in parts of the country with low vaccination rates. In a separate interview with NBC, he warned Christmas travel would hasten the spread of the new Omicron variant, even in vaccinated people. He urged Americans to get their shots and boosters and said even vaccinated people should continue taking other measures such as wearing masks while travelling or gathering indoors. President Joe Biden is planning to update the nation on his administration's response to the situation on Tuesday. His press secretary Jen Psaki said it would include a stark warning for the millions of still unvaccinated Americans. Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. Since it slammed into the country's southern and central areas on Thursday with wind speeds of more than 195 kilometers per hour, the devastating storm has displaced more than 300,000 people from their homes. Rai made 9 landfalls before leaving the West Philippine Sea, flattening homes, felling trees and causing landslides and flooding. It's also damaged critical infrastructure such as phone lines, making it even harder for authorities to communicate with the affected communities. Local officials say this has made it harder to assess the extent of the damage and the number of fatalities as well. Rescue efforts are underway. Thousands of members of the police, military, coast guard and fire services have been deployed to assist. The Philippines sits in the Pacific Ring of Fire and is used to being hit by around 20 typhoons every year. From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
Yes, welcome back to Free Talk Live, everybody. Captain's log, start date 12192021. We're at the tail end of We're halfway through hour number 1, so got plenty of show to go. We're here for 3 hours tonight. In the studio, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
We've been talking about this real coronavirus that has happened in the Netherlands.
Crisis.
This is of the utmost shocking news story that could have ever been brought in.
Breaking news.
A truck transporting Corona beer bottles overturned in the Netherlands on Sunday morning. The outlet reported that the driver had hit a guardrail while traveling north on the A2 highway towards Eindhoven. After striking the railing, the ill-fated vehicle started to swing before eventually ending up on its side. And they've got some video, a horrific-looking video of a truck toppled over on its side.
Is the beer okay?
Sadly, no. The beer did not survive. Well, I don't know if some of it did, but
it's all shaken up now. I wouldn't want to open those.
Oh, yeah.
Pictures,
you gotta wait.
Pictures from the crash do show broken boxes of beer bottles scattered on the highway and in the spaces between the guardrails. There were no reports of injuries or damage to other vehicles as yet, and photos circulating on social media suggested no other vehicles were involved. That's because they all stopped and grabbed, like an unopened case,
right.
Chucked it in there,
Right, like that the Brinks truck in California that wiped out, and people are just money's everywhere. The highway stops and people are picking up money.
The crash and debris forced the authorities to close the northbound highway for an hour as recovery vehicles towed the truck away and the railing was being repaired. One lane on the southbound expressway also had to be closed. This is just horrific. This is one of the most major corona incidents I've ever heard of.
You're sitting there with a truck overturned Corona, and you have to wait for an hour. So they probably have a DUI stop, maybe like 3 exits up. So after you're through that and you're drinking a couple Coronas, they'll pinch you.
The accident prompted humorous responses from social media users who worried about the impact it would have on the beer supply as the country enters a hard lockdown during the Christmas period over fears about spread of the Omicron variant of the coronavirus.
Well, there's liquor shortages. We can't afford this.
And they have a tweet here that they obviously did a screenshot of from some guy named Thomas. It says, just when the lockdown starts, must be a metaphor for the COVID policies in the Netherlands.
Okay, I think this was probably put together by some PR agency, public relations.
You think the folks over at Corona Beer?
No one's talking about Corona Beer. So what do? How much does it cost for an 18-wheeler with a bunch of Corona? $500,000. It'll
cheaper
cost
than
you,
a commercial.
It'll cost you $10 million to get commercials all over the world. Now everyone's talking about Corona Beer.
I am thirsty now that you mention it.
Well,
and
good thing you're not in the Netherlands.
Segue that, it's not really a segue. Speaking of Corona, somebody was trying to convince me, because a lot of people will like to put a lime in their Corona beer in the bottle when they drink.
Yeah.
Somebody was trying to convince me that if you just drink Corona without the lime, and put a blindfold on like a blind taste test style, that it tastes just like Pabst Blue Ribbon. Like they're trying to convince me that they're basically the same beer. PBR. So I've
without the lime,
I've not had a PBR in the bottle and a lime to be able to put this to a test.
Hashtag
I don't know.
PBR lime.
If there's any listeners out there, if you've got a bottle of Corona and a bottle of PBR in your fridge plus a lime, maybe you get a roommate
put
or
your mask
family
on
member
over
or
your
something.
eyes.
Put your mask on over your eyes and drop a lime into each bottle and then do the blind taste test. Let us know. 603-283-6160, because this is a top-notch Corona crisis.
Breaking news. Literally breaking.
Shattering, smashing, overturning. Yeah.
Wow.
So
it could be a PR stunt by Corona Beer to get people talking about Corona. We're talking about it. Right?
Well, that's
free
true.
advertising.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're a Corona executive over there at Corona Beers and you want to
send us maybe a free 6-pack for our services.
I'm not saying we'd turn that down,
or admit your guilt to the PR stunt.
Although Nikki, the next time we mention something like that, maybe aim higher, like a 6-pack is
that was
low.
just like the first thing that came out of my a 30 rack.
Several cases.
Truckload.
A truckload.
Doesn't overturn.
Just don't let it overturn.
Yeah, in the rotary, it overturned.
I don't want to come to the studio next week and be like, hey, Captain, you're going to have to park a couple blocks away. The
glass everywhere.
There's glass everywhere. Something about a Corona truck? I'm not sure. Oh, my. All right. Well,
anybody on hold? No.
If there are, I won't let you know.
Keep going.
I do want to, moving on from the corona crisis here. Nikki, you brought
where
this
to go
in.
from that story?
Now, you have a couple of different links to this. I just happened to pull up the one from the USA Today. Apparently, Santa Claus received his booster shot.
He's making a list and he's checking it twice.
And he's good to go for Christmas, according to Dr. Fauci.
He's gonna find out who's vaccinated and nice.
Is Santa gonna go across state lines this year?
Okay, so children, if you're listening, Santa Claus is not real.
Oh, no.
Yep.
First and foremost.
You heard it here.
Spoiler alert.
Stop lying to your children.
Yeah.
Not the libertarian thing to do.
If you're an adult and you're lying to your children that you make believe Santa Claus is real, what a horrible thing to do to your child. Let's take the person that they almost have to respect because you're taking care of them. And so you're basically the source of all of their truth. And so, they're learning from you. I learned it from watching you. You're, responsible for feeding and clothing and housing. They believe, nearly every word you say. They look up to you. You literally are the authority figure in their life. And you're going to lie.
Yeah.
You're going to lie about a jolly fat man coming down a chimney, right? Does your apartment even have a chimney? I don't think so.
No, he breaks in through the window. That's literally what my parents told me. They were like, nah, he just breaks in through the window. So, not to be at risk of being super controversial and offending a lot of people, as I sometimes do, telling your kids about Santa is not worse than telling them that if they don't believe in God, that they're going to burn. I mean...
Yeah, these are also lies. I maintain that everybody is anarchist and atheist until people start lying to them.
Yeah, pretty
You're
based.
inherently free.
The natural state of the human as it comes out of the womb and, falls to the floor, whatever, on the shag carpet, wherever you got.
Or hopefully somebody catches it, but sure.
Hardwood floors, whatever, forest, I don't know, whatever. Some mossy rock somewhere.
Pine needles.
If a human doesn't tell you about religion, are you going to invent it? If people don't tell you about government, are you going to invent it? Let's just say government didn't exist.
Hey, all right, the show's over. You're free to go.
We go. No, let's just say for a minute, hypothetically, government doesn't exist. And I come to you guys and I'm like, hey, Steve, Nikki, I got this idea. I want to put together an organization that steals a little bit of money from everybody and funds whatever I want. Doesn't that sound like a good idea?
Nope.
Like the roads?
Are you going to drive a Rolls Royce after and live in a $17 million mansion?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it got started somehow.
Sounds like you should be worshipped.
See, if somebody presented these ideas to humanity today, they would be laughed at, like, heavily. They'd be like, what are you, that's a horrible idea.
But it's happening.
But it's already there, and people can't come to terms with it. So stop lying to your kids.
Explain it that way.
And also, we'll talk more about Mr. Fauci and his Santa Claus vaccination farce here on Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. Phone lines are open.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live. It is the Sunday edition. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
Steve Classic.
And Santa.
Wait a second.
Santa, you've shaved. And your hair's gotten really, really long.
It's my new look.
Yeah,
I'm incognito.
It's the vaccine.
That's the vaccine.
Did somebody kick you in the crotch, or give me a ho ho ho?
Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas.
I am not convinced.
Well.
If anybody looks like Santa around here, it's me.
Sorry, am I taking your gig?
Yeah.
Hey, I moonlight, all right? Radio doesn't pay all the bills. The guy's got to make ends meet the best way he can, okay? Don't be Santa shaming a guy.
Hey, you brought it up.
Santa shaming.
Yeah. You started the Santa shaming, just to be clear.
That's true. And we'll talk more about Santa shaming. But first, I need to tell you that Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now and click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find all sorts of valuable information neatly organized to suit your needs. There's no longer any excuse to ignore this important and world-changing information. If you already know about cryptocurrency, you can check out news.bitcoin.com and keep up with the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for everything crypto, like getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Please visit Bitcoin.com.
Once again, that's Bitcoin.com.
Thank you, Steve Classic. Thank you, Steve Classic. Oh, is there an echo?
I'm hearing an echo.
Is there an echo? Nikki?
Check
Nikki?
1, 1, 2, 2, 3,
Hello?
3.
Before we continue Santa shaming, let's go to some of your calls and thoughts. Major Payne calling from Michigan. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, you guys need to move the studio out of the canyon. You lose that echo.
Thanks for calling.
Canyon.
What else is on your mind?
Oh, well, your baby girl's name there. I wonder if she didn't have the little Alka-Seltzer dude in her gene pool somewhere along the line there. I don't know how she came up with that tag, but anyway, I got a quick bitch gripe on my local radio station here. I only get you guys 2 days a week.
Oh, you better call them up every day and be like, hey, you need to play them every day.
Regardless of that, the whole thing is preceded by all of U of M sports. I don't care if it's a football game, a basketball game, and then they got a pregame show and a postgame show.
Yep.
So this thing sucks up 3 hours of tube time.
Yep.
It's horrendous. But anyway, you guys were talking about beer.
We were. Right? A horrific accident in the Netherlands.
Here is a scam that has been played upon the American consumer for about 30 years, as near as I can figure. Everybody's hooked on light beer, right? That's the only thing they advertise.
Okay.
Well, light beer came into existence back when the Hebrews were enslaved by the Egyptians in the time of Moses.
Correct.
The Egyptians figured out they could make a tolerable brew with 1/3 of the grain.
Yes, and
so
it was
they would give this to the Heb camps or during the weekend and keep peace.
I have this saying, Major. That beer has food value, but food has
there's
no
a pork
beer
chop
value.
in every can. There's a pork chop in every can. I've always known that.
Oh, it's a loaf of bread actually in every can, and in fact, beer was used to pay the slave masses, particularly the Egyptians and that kind of thing. That was their payment. So not only did it nourish them, it also got them a little drunk.
Yeah. Only on the weekends.
But the thing is the American Brewing Society has decided, well, let's see, if we can spend 1/3 on product and 2/3 more on advertising, we still gain 1/3 on profit.
Yeah.
Because the real beer sells itself. It doesn't need to be advertised.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely 100% true.
Yeah, the best
and now, as far as the Corona thing, the Mexicans will not drink Corona. And the reason they put a twist of lime in it is to kill Montezuma's revenge from the foul water.
A little bit of lime acid there to kill the Montezuma.
Thought it was to make it alkaline.
People go down to Mexico to vacation, and if they don't have a twist of some kind of citrus in their drink, they're going to get hit. But and people that think I'll just have some ice. Well,
right.
You dumb SOB, what do you think that's made out of?
Major, I have a major question for you because, when folks go to Mexico, they always say, watch out for the water. Right? Now I have a question for you because I know you're in Michigan. Which water is better, Flint or Mexico?
Oh, you?
Hard question, isn't it?
Oh,
that's right. We asked the tough
I'd rather
questions.
drink out of a Flint toilet bowl because I've seen the science on ice cube machines too.
Hey, Major, thanks for the call. You heard it here on Free Talk Live first. Flint water better than Mexican water, apparently.
According to our experts.
Resident beer experts, Major Payne calling from Michigan tonight. That was everybody. All right, so let's go to, what do we got? We got Mark calling from South Carolina. Mark, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I can't believe y'all said that about Santa Claus. Did y'all, when y'all grew up, somebody tell you when you were like 3 or 4 there's no Santa Claus?
No, I figured it out pretty early on.
I know, but still, I just can't believe you all announced it on the radio. Now, if there are other kids listening, sometimes my grandson listens with me. I don't know. I'm just very disappointed that y'all said that. And
why?
Because
the truth.
I'm disappointed that people are lying to kids.
They'll find. They're not lying to them. They'll find out when they, their friends will tell them when they're 9 or 10, and then that'll be it. It's not like it's going to ruin their life.
Well, how do you know?
Come on. Because I know. I have hundreds of friends that none of their lives are ruined because they found out Santa was
well, you don't know that. I mean, you're talking early childhood trauma where you literally rip the Band-Aid off.
I mean,
anyway, I'm just very disappointed that y'all said it on the radio. And
I didn't say that.
I like to listen to y'all Sunday night, but I'm very disappointed that y'all said that. But anyway, good luck getting. I hope you all work out that thing with the legal stuff with your guys going on and all that. But
I appreciate it, Mark.
I can't believe that y'all said that, man. God bless you.
Have a
and
good
Merry
night.
Christmas and ho, ho, ho.
Nice.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks for the call, Mark.
You should have prefaced it by, any young children, please turn the radio off. I'm going to give you 10 seconds.
Why?
And that's the thing. It's not going to ruin their life, but it's still. This is where it starts, right? So first you lie to them about this, and then it's, parents lie to their kids so much. Children should be respected. Yeah. I wouldn't lie to you guys because it's disrespectful. People baby their kids, and then they grow up. It puts them at a disadvantage. And yeah, Santa Claus is a very small piece of it, but it's just, it builds and builds and builds. There's so much stuff that people lie to their kids about, where if they were just honest with their kids, it could be a learning experience and their kids could benefit from it. Well, so you can tell kids about the spirit of the holiday and, the lore of Santa and, the stories, but that he's coming down your chimney, I mean, are you serious?
Yeah, you tell your kids to watch out for strangers, and then you're like, except this one guy.
Yeah, breaking and entering.
Leave some cookies.
And the other thing about doing this to children is there's a medical term for it. I don't know what it is, but it's when a truth is revealed to a person who's not ready to hear the truth. That actually makes them cling more to the lie.
Yeah.
Right? They recoil and cling more tenaciously to the lie that they've believed, even though they've been given facts and evidence that it's not true. And so you're beginning this process in children by doing it so early that now the next time somebody reveals the truth to them, like, government doesn't protect and serve, for example, then when they hear that or they're given evidence that this is not true, they just immediately recoil and cling even more tenaciously to the belief that that's what government is there to do.
Yeah.
Right. So you're conditioning this reaction early.
Or they get mad at you. You see people like, back the blue, back the blue. I'm like, well, what about those union salaries and those $95,000 police cars? And they go like, yeah, but why are you against the police? They'll start,
right.
You open up a little bit of truth and then they'll say, well, they don't know how to react.
Yeah, they just have to deflect it back onto you.
Right. Why are you saying that? You don't like the police.
Well, I'm insulted because, my daddy was Santa Claus and my daddy before him was Santa Claus and blah, 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 blah. Or in the case of, the blue, it's like my daddy was a cop, my granddaddy was on a long line of police or whatever, right?
Right.
The same ending plays out no matter how you look at it. So, yeah, just stop lying to your kids, really. Let's start with that. Can we all agree that lying to your kids is bad? Hour number 2 of Free Talk Live is coming up. 603-283-6160.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk, thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia says he cannot support the bill because of concerns over the rising national debt, inflation and the pandemic. Nina Maria Potts reports from Washington.
Well, his decision not to back it and the fact that he himself is a Democrat is pretty much fatal for President Biden's flagship legislation. He says he's worried about the national debt, which stands at more than $29 trillion US, and he's worried about inflation and tax reform hurting people more than ever before. Democrats needed to secure the vote of all 50 US senators from their party, with the Republicans in the Senate both opposed and united. So the Democrats need every one of their votes for the evenly divided Senate for the legislation to pass. So it's clear now that it's not going to pass. The White House is absolutely furious. The administration had been hoping for a compromise deal.
The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. The country is braced for a wave of Omicron infections that's expected to hit the country's health services and economy. Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN there would be a significant stress on hospitals, particularly in parts of the country with low vaccination rates. In a separate interview with NBC, he warned Christmas travel would hasten the spread of the new Omicron variant, even in vaccinated people. He urged Americans to get their shots and boosters and said even vaccinated people should continue taking other measures such as wearing masks while travelling or gathering indoors. President Joe Biden is planning to update the nation on his administration's response to the situation on Tuesday. His press secretary Jen Psaki said it would include a stark warning for the millions of still unvaccinated Americans. Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. Since it slammed into the country's southern and central areas on Thursday with wind speeds of more than 195 kilometers per hour, the devastating storm has displaced more than 300,000 people from their homes. Rai made 9 landfalls before leaving the West Philippine Sea, flattening homes, felling trees and causing landslides and flooding. It's also damaged critical infrastructure such as phone lines, making it even harder for authorities to communicate communicate with the affected communities. Local officials say this has made it harder to assess the extent of the damage and the number of fatalities as well. Rescue efforts are underway. Thousands of members of the police, military, coast guard and fire services have been deployed to assist. The Philippines sits in the Pacific Ring of Fire and is used to being hit by around 20 typhoons every year. From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more detail at the COVID-19 lockdown that has begun in the Netherlands just in time for Christmas. Prime Minister Mark Rutte called the move unavoidable given the spread of the Omicron variant. He told a Saturday news conference that he was in a sombre mood as he unveiled details of the measure. All non-essential shops are now closed until January the 14th. All schools shuttered until at least January the 9th in a bid to prevent the country's hospitals from being overwhelmed. Reporter Stephanie van der Berg is in The Hague.
We're just coming off of the fourth wave with the Delta variant, which means that Dutch hospitals have basically cancelled everything but critical care. Christmas is not quite cancelled, but it is very, very much smaller than it used to be. Now the advice is that you can have 2 people visiting your home per day. For Christmas, that will be expanded to 4 people. For most families that like to celebrate Christmas together, 4 people from outside your family bubble generally doesn't make up the entire family that would want to come for Christmas. So it's a lot of people trying to calculate who they can invite and how.
More than 85% of the adult population in the Netherlands is fully vaccinated using the old double-shot yardstick, but fewer than 9% of adults had received their booster as of Saturday. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. And Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. That is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
The chimpanzee spends most of its day in the jungle, carelessly swinging from tree to tree and picking mites off itself, instead of building shelter and teaching itself how to read. This chimp is named Bolo, and researchers at Duke University have shown that he can solve 3-dimensional logic puzzles, an impressive feat indeed, until you learn that human children as young as 3 are also able to solve the puzzle. Even a mentally handicapped human is capable of verbal speech, something no chimpanzee has ever been able to accomplish, despite working vocal cords capable of howling in irritation after soiling itself. Chimps have been observed using tools, but their tools are little more than sticks. Even driving and preparing pancakes, tasks we leave to the stupidest, least educated humans, lay beyond the capabilities of the chimp.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
You gonna be okay there, Steve Classic? You're still laughing heartily.
The Onion News Network is so funny.
Yeah, it really is. I love those segments. 603-283-6160 is the telephone number here at Free Talk Live. Phones are open, as always. We're here from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 days a week to talk about whatever's on your mind. Literally, whatever's on your mind. We don't do taboo subjects. There's very few rules. We are a radio broadcast show, so no cussing. That's really the only rule. If you do that, and the other rule is you only get one call a day. So that's it. 603-283-6160. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
Free Talk Live is raising funds for Give Directly, the first nonprofit that allows you to give money directly to people living in extreme poverty. They locate recipients in need and use mobile money to send them cash, no strings attached. In the past decade, they've delivered over $400 million to over 1 million people. Research shows that giving cash to people living in poverty can help drive a range of important positive changes in their lives, like employment, nutrition, health, education. In addition, cash allows individuals to invest in what they need instead of relying on aid organizations and donors thousands of miles away to choose for them. Isn't this what you'd prefer if you were in extreme poverty? I know I would. Free Talk Live is also matching your donations to Give Directly, helping families in Bomet and Kilifi counties in Kenya who are in need. Free Talk Live is matching up to $30,000. So if you're feeling generous this holiday season, head over to give.freetalklive.com and help those areas plagued by drought, floods, and food insecurity. There may not be a better way to help families in Kenya. Visit give.freetalklive.com. And I've read studies and articles on so-called charities, right? And even like large charities like the Red Cross, for example.
Yeah.
When you give them money, if you give them like $10, like literally only $1 or $2 of that $10 goes to the actual people you're trying to help, because they have to pay for, all the salaries for everybody they employ, for all the infrastructure of the organization.
Even a lot of nonprofit organizations are like that.
Correct. Yeah. And now the private charities are still better than relying on government to take care of it, because, of the same reasons, government first takes a huge chunk off the top for themselves, and then rarely does the aid go directly to the people in need. And in fact, it has been hypothesized many times by people much smarter than I that giving money directly to those who need it is the best way to, spend your charity dollars.
Cut out the middleman.
Right. Totally. So.
Save the Children and AmeriCares are in Westport and Stamford, Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Expensive places. I mean, their places are really nice. I don't know what their rent is or if they get some type of a break from the town, but geez, they're in nice places.
Yeah. So, what were we talking about?
The chimps.
We were talking about
ho, ho,
Santa.
Ho, ho.
Talking about Santa Claus. Specifically, what did Fauci do to him, Nikki?
He jabbed him. It's a Christmas miracle.
Santa Claus got jabbed by Anthony Fauci.
He may not be coming to town this year now.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, as Christmas approaches, Santa is making a list and checking it twice. He's also ready to deliver presents around the world after receiving his COVID-19 booster shot, according to Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's leading infectious disease mass murderer. Oh, expert.
I like that you pronounced his name correctly.
Fauci.
Yes. Anthony
Thank
Fauci.
you. Fauci. Compulsive liar. Anyways, Santa has already got a great innate immunity. Fauci, the director of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, told USA Today.
He doesn't have some weird cancer from climbing down chimneys for
I know you would
thousands of years.
Yeah.
You would think he would, but no, he's still in great condition. This year, he is even more protected because he has been fully vaccinated and boosted. Santa will be just fine and good to go.
He doesn't have to quarantine? Country to country? I thought you had to quarantine if you're on a plane.
Does he have to show a digital passport?
He didn't say. I'm sure he does. That means children around the world can rest assured. Santa is ready to come down the chimney, eat cookies, and participate in other traditions this holiday season.
Mommy, I got COVID from Santa.
Right? Oh, God. Imagine. Super spreader event. Last year, Fauci told USA Today that Santa wouldn't be at risk of spreading any infections to anybody. Santa is exempt from this.
Wait. I would like to see Mr. Fauci's evidence.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't have any evidence for anything.
What is your evidence, Mr.
Yeah.
Fauci, that Santa would not be at the risk of spreading any infections to
How
anybody?
come Santa gets a medical exemption, but I didn't?
Because he's Santa Claus. That's
I thought I was Santa. Anyways.
Must be the beard.
Must be. I know. I'm being discriminated against. Santa is exempt from this because Santa, of all the good qualities, has a lot of good innate immunity. He also reassured children watching a Sesame Street town hall put on by CNN. That is just the most awful thing I've ever heard in my life.
Wow.
Take your vaccines, kids.
He also reassured children watching a Sesame Street town hall put on by CNN last year that he vaccinated Santa Claus himself, giving the jolly man an extra layer of protection while he traveled with his trusty reindeer.
All right. So, no, I'll let you finish this. It's fine. I have many things to say about this, but just go on.
I took care of that for you because I was worried that you'd all be upset, Falsey said. I vaccinated Santa Claus myself, he added. I measured his level of immunity, and he is good to go.
Did he test his cholesterol level, too, after eating all those cookies? I mean, it sounds like an underlying condition.
Does he have the beatus? The diabetes?
He must.
Probably.
That's a lot of cookies.
All right, so first of all, as I've said previously in this particular show this evening, Santa Claus is not real.
What? No.
That's not what my mom told me.
You're lying. Stop lying.
Santa Claus is just your parents lying to you. Is basically the gist. Now, here we have somebody also gifted at lying, a figurehead appointed by government, who is lying to you. Literally. He's lying to children.
This is like a deep web of lies, too, that he is...
This is a compound lie because it's lies on top of lies on top of lies.
I did it myself. I flew all the way to the North Pole, and I vaccinated Santa and all of his reindeer. No, you compulsive liar. You didn't.
No, Santa Claus is not real, so no, you did not vaccinate him. No, you didn't measure his immunity because, well, if you could do that, you'd be doing it to everybody else.
I think USA Today should retract that story.
I think so, too. As a matter of fact.
And the 7 other news sources I found on
this
topic.
They should retract all of their stories, actually.
Oh, and there's actually more to this story, too. Wow, holy crap.
Yeah.
You want to continue?
Omicron.
Yeah, and it just gets worse. Health experts urge eligibility individuals in the U.S. over the age of 5 to get their COVID-19 vaccines. Let me just repeat that for you in case you didn't really let that sink in what they're saying. Health experts urge eligible individuals in the United States over the age of 5 years old.
They're not even at risk.
Not even at risk, but they are at risk from dying from the vaccine, getting myocarditis, having blood clots, heart attacks.
Strokes.
And then the media is going to try to normalize this. Oh, no. Parents should know the signs of a stroke in children because it happens all the time. No, it doesn't. That is almost unheard of. Unless your kid has, a congenital heart deformation or disease or something, that doesn't happen.
You would already know that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah, well, especially ones that never happened until you deploy a thing. Like, by the way, this thing could happen now, but it's not the fault of this thing. It's natural. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is next.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
When Monster Hunter International discovers one of Isaac Newton's wardstones being auctioned off, they decide to steal it and use it to destroy the Chaos God once and for all. But a mysterious thief upends their plan, and it soon becomes a race against time as something much older and infinitely more evil awakens in the jungles of South America. Monster Hunter Bloodlines by New York Times bestselling author Larry Correia and Baen Books. Visit monsterhunternation.com for more.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Yes, come on and listen to Free Talk Live. Yeah, we are a live call-in, nationally syndicated radio talk program where you can talk about whatever's on your mind. The telephone number, 603-283-6160. We've got calls on hold now. We'll get to those momentarily. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
We've been telling you about how Intercoin can help any business and organization launch their own currency or raise money using their own token. Now Intercoin has launched its investor token worldwide, and for the first time, it's available on an exchange. You can create an account at xmarkets.com. That's exmarkets.com with just an email address, so you can keep your privacy intact. You can then deposit dozens of different cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, trade them for Tether, and then buy ITR. That's the Intercoin Investor Token, ITR. Learn more about the Intercoin vision at intercoin.org. And now you can buy or sell ITR on xmarkets.com. Again, exmarkets.com. You just might be advancing the cause of liberty around the world. There is more to this.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately, yes, there is.
Fauci vaccinating Santa Claus story, and we'll get to that. But first, Let's do what we do here at Free Talk Live. Let's go to Robert in South Carolina. Robert, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, I've been a technical translator and interpreter around the world, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore I had the opportunity to compare the different countries. And the United States lives a pretty life with goody two shoes, walking around, not noticing anything that's unpleasant to notice. There's a certain codex that everybody has. They smile a lot. They never say anything negative about anything, even if it's quite obvious. And one of the things that's a lie, it happens every day on the radio. You hear it practically, and it's the rate of unemployment in America. And the rate given recently is 4.2%. In reality, we have 110 million people who aren't working. We have 155 million people who are working, and a lot of those are pushing cartons of cigarettes over the countertops of 7-Elevens, and they have advanced degrees in a lot of cases. And there are plenty of them.
Yeah, hang on for just a second here, David. So, just for our listeners, the reported number when the news talks about the unemployment rate, the percentage, that number is only people who have been either lost their jobs recently and are actively looking. In fact, I think that's the only category they count now. So if you're past, I think it's either 90 days or 6 months, and you haven't found a job, you fall off of that count.
So that's not
and the number goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a very...
If you just stopped looking for a job and you've been unemployed for years, you're not even counted. Doesn't even show up, doesn't register. So that number is as false as could possibly be. Go ahead, David.
I'm Robert. You mean
I'm sorry, Robert. Go ahead, Robert.
Yes, okay. So, but you know something? When the politicians come to the countries in which I've worked, the first question they ask is, when I do simultaneous or consecutive translating, in that case, consecutive interpreting, one of the first questions they ask is, how many people would work if they could? In other words, the politicians know exactly which questions to ask, but they never, in their home countries, they never mention that, because in this country especially, that's like, you don't want to get into that. It reflects badly on both parties. That's why it's never mentioned. But that's the first question they ask. And in Germany, I'll tell you what the results are. When I left there about 16 and a half years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There were about 4 million people unemployed and about 1 million jobs going begging. In the United States, I just gave you what the figures were. There's a huge difference. In Germany, Germans try hard to get it right, because they basically know what jobs are coming up, and they basically try to get people ready for those jobs, but sometimes it doesn't work out 100%. But the fact of the matter is, we could be doing an awful lot better with regard to how well we do that. We do a terrible job of that. And part of the reason is because states like the one in which I live, and many states like mine is certainly no exception.
Yeah.
But they do not tell other people or states or publicize who's coming in and what they're going to be needing, because they're afraid that other states might find out about it and go make them an offer.
Yep.
The companies which are coming in and say, okay, come to our state and we'll give you this huge tax deduction, much better than the one you're going to, and we'll have people all ready to go for you. And that's why there's a factory in our state. It's a big, huge factory. It's from a foreign country, and it's a wonderful thing. Everybody wanted this company to come in.
Yeah, it's a conundrum for sure, Robert. And thanks for the call tonight. The unemployment rates, but yet there's many jobs available that can't be filled. So, like, where's the what's the real number here?
And it's just gotten worse with COVID times, because now we see still a lot of the fast food places, even just in Keene.
Yeah.
They have to shut down half their hours.
Yeah.
A lot of the places, nobody wants to work.
Yeah. I tried to go to a place a couple of weeks ago after the show, one of the only places that's open past, 10:30 p.m. That'll sit down restaurant style.
Yeah.
And they were closed. And they just put a sign up on the window sorry, we're understaffed and we closed early tonight. And it was on a Friday, Saturday night, whatever.
And it's not even just this area. I travel a lot for work, so I work crazy hours. So whenever I try to get something like that, something that's open until 1 a.m. or something like that, or even 10 o'clock at night, a lot of them are closed. Chipotle's, sit down restaurants like you were kind of just mentioning. So it seems to be everywhere is kind of
everybody's hiring.
This.
Nobody can hire enough people. The people who apply just sort of flake on the employers. They don't show up to their interview or whatever. And so, why are there so many unemployed people, but that's so many jobs? Like, something's rotten in Denmark.
It's the bodies
It
piling up in the
Probably.
streets.
I mean, the National Guard should really pick those bodies up.
Well, I thought you were going to help them.
Well, after the show, I mean, I'll do my part. It's cold out there, so they're not going to rot.
Oh, my God.
Omicron.
Hey, Jerome, call us back, will you? Let's go to Sarah in New Mexico. Sarah, you're on Free Talk Live.
Oh, yes. So, anyway, I was just visiting El Paso, Texas a couple of days ago, and the air was polluted, the water was polluted, it tasted funny, and it felt like when I came back, I think I was sweating out petroleum oil or jet fuel leak.
You were sweating oil? Ugh. Wasn't that slippery?
No, jet fuel leak. No, I mean, that's how much of the fumes of petroleum oil fumes I breathe in. And then the water obviously had these.
Well, hang on. Can you sort of collect it and rebottle it and put your own brand on it and sell it?
That might be a good side hustle.
I mean, I'm just trying to help you make some money here, Sarah.
Well, I mean, if the air is polluted, what happens is that it settles when it rains or precipitates. It settles into the ground. It goes into the aqua system, and that's part of the water supply. Mm-hmm. And they have a horrible water. It's definitely jet fuel or petroleum based, and it's really sad because I see a lot of travel shows of Europe and Zurich and Switzerland, and they got rid of all the gasoline cars altogether. And then more and more they're riding trains. And why do we have to be like this?
I don't know, Sarah, but thank you for the call. Yes, raining or precipitation goes into the aqua system. It is true. More Free Talk Live is coming up. We'll talk more about how Santa Claus is not real.
What?
Free Talk Live's video archives have been on Library for years. Library is an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're big fans of it here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, Library launched Odyssey, a video sharing website to compete with YouTube, and it's really taking off. Now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes and could be completely taken down at any moment. Thankfully, Odyssey started offering live streaming, so we're now streaming live every night and posting our video archives permanently to Odyssey. You can watch live or anytime on our Odyssey channel by visiting video.freetalklive.com. If you want to go all in, download the desktop app at lbry.com, and then every video archive you watch, you'll help seed and keep it online forever. At minimum, we ask you visit video.freetalklive.com and follow us on Odyssey today. video.freetalklive.com.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk, thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia says he cannot support the bill because of concerns over the rising national debt, inflation and the pandemic. Nina Maria Potts reports from Washington.
Well, his decision not to back it and the fact that he himself is a Democrat is pretty much fatal for President Biden's flagship legislation. He says he's worried about the national debt, which stands at more than 29 trillion US dollars, and he's worried about inflation and tax reform hurting people more than ever before. Democrats needed to secure the vote of all 50 US senators from their party, with the Republicans in the Senate both opposed and united. So the Democrats need every one of their votes for the evenly divided Senate for the legislation to pass. So it's clear now that it's not going to pass. The White House is absolutely furious. The administration had been hoping for a compromise deal.
The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. The country is braced for a wave of Omicron infections that's expected to hit the country's health services and economy. Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN there would be a significant stress on hospitals, particularly in parts of the country with low vaccination rates. In a separate interview with NBC, he warned Christmas travel would hasten the spread of the new Omicron variant, even in vaccinated people. He urged Americans to get their shots and boosters and said even vaccinated people should continue taking other measures such as wearing masks while travelling or gathering indoors. President Joe Biden is planning to update the nation on his administration's response to the situation on Tuesday. His press secretary Jen Psaki said it would include a stark warning for the millions of still unvaccinated Americans. Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. Since it slammed into the country's southern and central areas on Thursday with wind speeds of more than 195 kilometers per hour, the devastating storm has displaced more than 300,000 people from their homes. Rai made 9 landfalls before leaving the West Philippine Sea, flattening homes, felling trees and causing landslides and flooding. It's also damaged critical infrastructure such as phone lines, making it even harder for authorities to communicate with the affected communities. Local officials say this has made it harder to assess the extent of the damage and the number of fatalities as well. Rescue efforts are underway. Thousands of members of the police, military, coast guard and fire services have been deployed to assist. The Philippines sits in the Pacific Ring of Fire and is used to being hit by around 20 typhoons every year. From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. You have tuned in to the right radio station, podcast, and or internet or satellite stream. Wait, do you stream over satellites? Yeah, whatever. Sure. You get the idea. You're in the right place. Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
So we've been doing this segment for some time because, as you know, in March of this year, the Free Talk Live studios were raided by 6 different agencies, including the FBI. The doors were battered down with battering rams. They had a tank outside. They smashed in the front window. They ruined the door frames on one side of the building and the window on the other side, etc. and so on. They arrested a total of 6 people, as well as raided several other people's homes and that type of a thing. So they arrested a total of 6 people. These people are known as the Crypto 6. You can find out more about this story at thecrypto6.com. But the reason I'm telling you this tonight is because one of our co-hosts, even though he's been released on bail until the trial, has had his freedom of speech stripped. That is the co-host known as Nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul. And so he's not allowed to do any sort of public speaking, to appear on any podcast, to do any radio of any kind, because those are the conditions set forth by the state, which of course violate human rights and the freedom of speech. So as a way of, sort of giving him a voice without violating his bail, we've been doing this segment called Quotes from Nobody, or as I like to call it, Rich Quotes from Nobody. And so here's tonight's Rich quote. How is it that the government controls everything, yet morons still blame hyper-free markets? Thank you, Nobody, for that pearl of wisdom.
Can you actually play his audio, or would that be a violation as well?
Well, we don't know. So what's been going on is one of our other hosts, Bonnie, has been going back through the archives whenever Nobody appeared on an episode of Free Talk Live, and she's just literally writing down stuff that she thinks is cool that he said, and we are reading those live on the air every night because freedom of speech. That's right, bitches.
Thank you for your service, Bonnie.
And you too, Nobody. All right, so we're going to get back to Santa Claus not being real and him on how did he get on Sesame Street and what does Oscar the Grouch have to do with any of this and more of that kind of a thing. But first, Jerome, I'm sorry I did hang up on you, but you're back. You're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, hello. Yeah, I got to ask you, who do you think's a better phony? Joe Manchin, Elizabeth Holmes, Tim Potter, or the murderer Kyle Rittenhouse? Which one of you think is a better phony?
I only know one of those people, so.
Like personally?
No, I know none of them personally.
I know none of those people, Jerome.
Did you list Elizabeth Holmes? I do know who that is.
You did, yeah.
She's definitely a phony. I would say I'll vote her in. She's the worst phony.
Hey, she lied. Wait a minute now. She scams people out of money. And she gets on the witness stand and tells some more lies saying, I don't know nothing about it.
Hang on, Jerome. We have to determine. So you said, which do you think is the best phony? Now, do you mean best as in like the most effective at lying, or the best at, do you mean it the other way, and like they're the most phony of all the phonies?
Well, Manchin's the biggest one, because, or maybe Rittenhouse too, because he lied on the witness stand and he got away with murder. Then you got Manchin. He's a Democrat in name only because he's a sellout, because that's all he is. I don't know when are they going to just say it.
Wait, are these Jerome's top 5 phonies? Is that what you're telling us?
I don't know about top 5, but the damn sure on the top 4.
I thought it was the top 4, yeah.
There's probably some better ones.
Can you just add one real quick? Who else is a phony? Add one real quick, Jerome.
Fauci.
I don't have I can't think of one right now. I just focus on the. Well, hey, look.
What about Santa, Jerome? Is Santa a phony?
Look, I'm not even going into that, all right? All I know is I don't believe in Santa Claus. I never did.
Right.
Because, you know why? Because where I lived at, where I grew up in, the first place I remember us living in, it was really a bad, dilapidated place. We didn't have a chimney. So there ain't no way our old white guys coming down and bringing me presents, okay? As a black kid, ain't no way in hell. And it's never happened, so hey. I mean, hey, you know what? The only white people I remember coming to our door was the insurance men that came to collect the insurance payments my mom sometimes didn't have, and I had to go to the door and tell them my mom wasn't home, So that's what I remember when I was growing up. Because we were really poor, But I loved my mom, and I didn't care whether she had a nickel to her name, all right? Because I lost my mom in July, and, I'm miserable right now without her.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm just cared. That's all I cared about, I mean, since I lost her, my life's not even the same anymore, man. So I'm surprised I can even get on the phone and talk about stuff like this. I guess it's kind of like my way of having some kind of therapy, but hey, that's the way I feel right now.
Hey, Jerome, we appreciate you, and thanks for the call.
Wow. Just throw the emergency brakes. Have a good time.
He said he's not going to go into it, and then he went into it.
Yeah.
And then that turned into him being depressed about his mom. And
I couldn't imagine,
sad.
though.
I'm sorry,
I'm
Jerome.
a mommy's girl, so I couldn't imagine. I'm sending you love, Jerome.
I lost my mom, too, some time ago around the holidays, so it always makes the holidays weird.
Yeah. It's
that
tough.
kind of thing. So anyway, we appreciate you, Jerome. Let's move right on. Let's go to Richard in New Mexico. Richard, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes, I'm a registered Democrat.
I'm sorry.
Staying in New Mexico, but I'm throwing my support behind Senator Joe Manchin because people that are on fixed incomes, we have a national debt that keeps getting bigger every month because of our trade deficit. We have our president that's already added about $5 trillion to our national debt. That's close to $28 trillion right now.
Yep.
And when all this national debt comes due, our grandkids and everybody else is going to be paying for it with higher taxes and people on fixed income that are barely getting by now. So to Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, thank you very much for going against the Democratic Party.
Hey, Richard, I have a question for you. In New Mexico, when somebody becomes the governor, does he get a mansion?
Most governors definitely get mansions.
So will Manchin have a mansion?
I'm sure he's already got one.
Have you been to Manchin's mansion?
No, not yet, but maybe he will send me an invitation through your radio talk show.
Maybe he will. And then one final question, Richard. Do you believe in Santa Claus?
Well, I did up until I was about 6 years old, and I had two older sisters that ruined it for me.
They ruined it. They told your sisters told you the truth. That's not ruining it. They told you the truth. They revealed what's real.
Well, yeah, but I wasn't old enough for reality back then.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, thanks for the call tonight, Richard. We appreciate it.
I thought he was going to say, I believed in Santa Claus right up until you said.
Right.
Right up until about 20 minutes ago.
When you said.
Right up until that first segment of the show where, surprisingly, you were like, hey,
Now,
children, if you're listening.
Now, somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. It's either you or Dr. Fauci.
It's the politicians.
Somebody's lying about Santa Claus.
Well, it makes you wonder, why would somebody who exists in the physical reality sort of continue the lie about Santa Claus? Interesting. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is coming up.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 27th through July 3rd for the 6th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out for the first time in 2021. Fork Fest takes place the week after Pork Fest, but Fork Fest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 27th through July 3rd. There's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Forkfest Forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there. Forkfest.party. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Phone records, financial and location data, Prism, Tempora, X-Keyscore, Boundless Informant. Hey, y'all, Scott Horton here for offnow.org. Now, here's the deal. Due to the Snowden revelations, we have a great opportunity for a short period of time to get some real rollback of the national surveillance state. Now, they're already trying to tire us by introducing fake reforms in the Congress. And the courts, they betrayed their sworn oaths to the Constitution and Bill of Rights again and again, and can in no way be trusted to stop the abuses for us. We've got to do it ourselves. How? We nullify it at the state level. It's still not easy, but the Off Now project of the 10th Amendment Center has gotten off to a great start. I mean it. There's real reason to be optimistic here. They've gotten their model legislation introduced all over the place, in state after state. I've lost count, more than a dozen. You're always wondering, yeah, but what can we do? Here's something important, something that can work if we do the work. Get started cutting off the NSA support in your state. Go to offnow.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
UGLY, she ain't got no alibi. Your mom's ugly. That's right. 603-283-6160. I just said UGLY, she ain't got no alibi. Your mom's ugly.
She ugly. Yeah, she ugly.
She had to tie, or her parents had to tie pork chops to her ears so the dog would play with her. That's one of my favorite.
I've never heard that one. That's a new one for me.
It's
I'm going to add
one.
that to my collection. I hope you don't mind.
Please do. Yes, I plagiarized it myself.
As all good jokes are.
603-283-6160 is the telephone number if you'd like to join us here on Free Talk Live. We've been talking about how people lie to their children about many things, about how politicians lie to people about many things, and how sometimes the two lies meet and create one big mecha lie. But first, it is myself, the captain, here in the studio. Joining me,
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
I need to tell you that Free Talk Live's video archives have been on Library for years. Library is an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're very big fans of that here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, Library launched Odyssey, a video sharing website to compete with YouTube, and it is really taking off now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes. Could be completely taken down at any moment. Thankfully, Odyssey started offering live streaming, and so now we're live streaming every night and posting our video archives permanently to Odyssey. You can watch live or anytime on our Odyssey channel by visiting video.freetalklive.com. If you want to go all in, just download the desktop app at library.com, and then every video archive you watch, you'll help seed and keep it online forever. Visit video.freetalklive.com and follow us on Odyssey today. Video.freetalklive.com.
You'll want to check the first opening segment of tonight's show with me with the Tyvek suit on.
That's right.
So if you've never done it, tomorrow, or what is it, maybe later tonight?
Yeah, maybe.
Would be a good opportunity to take advantage of that offer you just said there.
At video.freetalklive.com.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah.
See me, Steve Classic, in the Tyvek suit.
Because you were out helping remove all of the bodies that are in the streets from the Omicron variant.
They are piling up out there, and I don't know why the governor does not mobilize the National Guard to pick all these dead people up from that Omicron variant.
Oh, because they have no duty to protect or anything like that.
Could be supply chain disruptions.
Yeah, perhaps.
Could be anything.
Yeah, we're waiting for National Guard to be shipped from China where they're made. That's a lie.
Stamped right on the bottom of their foot.
Made in China. Let's go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I heard you mention nobody, and I also hear you mention the Crypto 6. Matter of fact, you make a habit of mentioning the Crypto 6 and their problems with the quote-unquote government, and there must be some value to keeping nobody's words alive because you've made a segment for that. So I would describe that as some sort of recourse. And in the vein of recourse, let's talk about M. Monica Zamora and the incestuous nature of the legal system in the state of New Mexico. I was just doing some reading while I was on hold.
Okay.
I noticed that M. Monica Zamora had retired from the New Mexico Court of Appeals after she'd been there a total of 8 years.
They didn't find her appealing anymore?
Apparently not, but she retired. But it's interesting that someone would retire from a job that pays $100,000 a year, maybe a little more. after she spent $250,000 to get the job. That's what she spent campaigning to get a $100,000 a year job, and then only worked 8 years. And so that doesn't sound quite right. It sounds a little bit odd why somebody would do that. Oh, and you know what? Years ago when I was in the New Mexico Court of Appeals, out of the blue, a contract attorney that worked at the New Mexico Court of Appeals walked up to me, somehow knew who I was, and he volunteered information to me about M. Monica Zamora for some reason. I don't know why.
What was that information?
He had told me that the Zamora family, which is Matthias Zamora was her dad, and guess what job he did? He was a judge. You're right. You guessed correctly. And her siblings. Matter of fact, everybody in the family is an attorney. Her siblings are attorneys as well. But this contract attorney had sought me out to tell me and to inform me, since apparently I had some sort of a problem with M. Monica Zamora. But he told me that the Zamora family had gathered together a fund of $1 million in order to get M. Monica Zamora elected to the New Mexico Court of Appeals, that it was somehow worth $1 million to get her elected. And let's see, she worked there 8 years at about $100,000 a year. And if she had spent that entire $1 million, how much would she have made?
Well, she'd be in the negative because
math on the radio is really tough.
Yeah. I was told there'd be no math. But
I didn't study for that.
If they spent $1 million and then she made $800,000, that would leave a couple $100,000 over.
So look, that begs the question, now why would M. Monica Zamora seek out a job she's prepared to spend $1 million to get when she's only going to collect, $800, $900 million, but then she's got to pay taxes on half of that. She's going to lose, almost half of that, if not half of it.
Is the answer 42?
The answer is 42.17 to be exact, but yes, you're correct. Very, very good, Captain. Very good. That's well done, radio math. So, but that's just kind of interesting, I think. So, and there's more interesting things about this case, too, that I discovered while I've been reading as well.
Okay, but why would somebody spend $1 million to only make $800,000?
Well, I don't know. You must be getting something else out of it other than the money. And then what else does a judge get out of it? The only thing they do is decide cases. So maybe it's linked to how cases come out. How things are. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. If the cases are decided over money, maybe certain people get money and others don't. Or cases are also decided over what law stands up and what law fails. So
could it be that she's could it be that some of this money that was donated sort of on the down low as to be able to get favors for cases?
Oh, no, that would never happen. This is our government you're talking about.
Oh,
Captain,
right. Silly me.
That never happens.
No. How dare you? You should be ashamed of even thinking such a thing.
I should.
That government would trade favors for money and any sort of monkey business like that. Because everybody knows that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so. Santa's not bringing anything to the captain.
Yeah, so I have to ask you, David, do you believe in Santa Claus?
Yeah, she's working. Well, she just retired from the New Mexico Court of Appeals. She was doling out presents to various boys and girls that have been naughty in the state of New Mexico.
She's been vaccinated.
Santa Claus is a she?
Fauci vaccinated.
Yeah, and Monica Zamora, Santa Claus of the New Mexico Court of Appeals, and handing out presents to bad little boys and girls of the nepotistic state of New Mexico, which is the other thing I discovered.
Do you know, David? Did your kids, ever believe in Santa Claus?
I have no idea. That's not even the issue anymore. The issue has now broadened beyond my children. My children are not even at issue. Now what's at issue is what was done to my children.
Yes. And attempting to hold somebody accountable for that. And of course,
we're doing that right now. We're doing that right now, holding them accountable, as you are heard to tens of thousands of people in the state of New Mexico right now, that half of which have some connection to M. Monica Zamora and or John J. Romero Jr.
Hey, we wish you the best, David, and keep us updated as things progress, of course. Santa Claus is banging your mom. Indeed. One of my favorite bands, GWAR, G-W-A-R. Dave Brocky, the He was basically the man behind the band, the voice of Gwar. Gwar still continues, but with a replacement singer who's not Dave Brockie, and so they're not as good as they used to be, in my opinion. But they did a very little unknown. It was one of these. You remember the old cereal boxes? They used to give you like the square record on the back of the cereal box that you could like tear and put on your They did that kind of a thing, but only for their fan club, where they just mailed you one of these square records or whatever. And it was called Stripper Christmas Summer Weekend.
Wow, do you have
Sounds like
that?
a party.
Do you have that record?
It's pretty great. I do not own a copy of the record. I merely was lucky enough that a friend of mine had an MP3 and was able to share that with me.
Wow, I wonder if you can find that on...
I have it. There is a copy of it on the YouTube. However, there's... to
buy it on eBay, maybe.
There's bad words, so I can't really play it over the air here on Free Talk Live. But it's a great Christmas song, an instant holiday classic. If you're at all familiar with Gwar's material, I personally recommend checking out Stripper Christmas Summer Weekend. Hour number 3 of Free Talk Live is coming up. We'll talk more about Santa Claus and Fauci on Sesame Street, and maybe we'll talk about re-education camps for vaccine refuseniks.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk, thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia says he cannot support the bill because of concerns over the rising national debt, inflation, and the pandemic. Nina Maria Potts reports from Washington.
Well, his decision not to back it and the fact that he himself is a Democrat is pretty much fatal for President Biden's flagship legislation. He says he's worried about the national debt, which stands at more than $29 trillion US, and he's worried about inflation and tax reform hurting people more than ever before. Democrats needed to secure the vote of all 50 US senators from their party, with the Republicans in the Senate both opposed and united. So the Democrats need every one of their votes for the evenly divided Senate for the legislation to pass. So it's clear now that it's not going to pass. The White House is absolutely furious. The administration had been hoping for a compromise deal.
The The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. The country is braced for a wave of Omicron infections that's expected to hit the country's health services and economy. Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN there would be a significant stress on hospitals, particularly in parts of the country with low vaccination rates. In a separate interview with NBC, he warned Christmas travel would hasten the spread of the new Omicron variant, even in vaccinated people. He urged Americans to get their shots and boosters and said even vaccinated people should continue taking other measures such as wearing masks while travelling or gathering indoors. President Joe Biden is planning to update the nation on his administration's response to the situation on Tuesday. His press secretary Jen Psaki said it would include a stark warning for the millions of still unvaccinated Americans. Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. Since it slammed into the country's southern and central areas on Thursday with wind speeds of more than 195 kilometres per hour, the devastating storm has displaced more than 300,000 people from their homes. Rai made 9 landfalls before leaving the West Philippine Sea, flattening homes, felling trees and causing landslides and flooding. It's also damaged critical infrastructure such as phone lines, making it even harder for authorities to communicate with the affected communities. Local officials say this has made it harder to assess the extent of the damage and the number of fatalities as well. Rescue efforts are underway. Thousands of members of the police, military, coast guard and fire services have been deployed to assist. The Philippines sits in the Pacific Ring of Fire and is used to being hit by around 20 typhoons every year. From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in more detail at the COVID-19 lockdown that has begun in the Netherlands just in time for Christmas. Prime Minister Mark Rutte called the move unavoidable given the spread of the Omicron variant. He told a Saturday news conference that he was in a sombre mood as he unveiled details of the measure. All non-essential shops are now closed until January the 14th. All schools shuttered until at least January the 9th in a bid to prevent the country's hospitals from being overwhelmed. Reporter Stephanie van der Berg is in The Hague.
We're just coming off of the 4th wave with the Delta variant, which means that Dutch hospitals have basically cancelled everything but critical care. Christmas is not quite cancelled, but it is very, very much smaller than it used to be. Now the advice is that you can have 2 people visiting your home per day. For Christmas, that will be expanded to 4 people. For most families that like to celebrate Christmas together, 4 people from outside your family bubble generally doesn't make up the entire family that would want to come for Christmas. So it's a lot of people trying to calculate who they can invite and how.
More than 85% of the adult population in the Netherlands is fully vaccinated using the old double-shot yardstick, but fewer than 9% of adults had received their booster as of Saturday. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main headlines again. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. And Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. That is the latest from Feature Story News. I'm Jagruti Dave in Washington.
California is reeling from Super Rainbow Percival, which left a trail of devastation along the West Coast. A luminous band of destruction touched down in Santa Barbara. Percival set a record as the most powerful rainbow in U.S. history, with at least 30 confirmed fatalities and damage estimates in the billions. The vividly saturated colors seared through homes and roads, charring everything in its path. Those exposed to the rainbow's fury say they're lucky to be alive.
The sky was completely blue. All of a sudden, it's filled with brilliant hues of red and indigo.
All I can say is when I was a kid, rainbows didn't cut people in half.
Meteorologists say that Percival is just the latest in a pattern of increasingly dangerous rainbows, and that they're only growing stronger as global temperatures rise. Percival also comes on the heels of some extreme weather phenomena overseas. Authorities in the Philippines are still searching for thousands in the aftermath of mega sunset Wilma.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the telephone number if you would like to join us. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass,
Steve Classic,
and Nikki.
Now, I've been making a lot of fun of Santa Claus and also scolding, well, everybody who contributes to the lie of Santa Claus, specifically lying to your children about the fact that he's real, when in reality he's not. However, if you haven't finished your Christmas shopping and you're looking for a fun toy, Nikki discovered this, and we'll just let you decide whether or not this is something you'd like to buy for your children or grandchildren.
Hey there! Are you hesitant to get the vaccine?
Yeah!
Then get the brand new government-approved Vaccinate Me Elmo doll.
Wow! Elmo loves experimental vaccines!
With the Vaccinate Me Elmo doll, your kid will finally feel the pressure and shame we've successfully made you feel to get the COVID vaccine.
Quick! Give me the vaccine! Elmo don't want to be responsible for the deaths of friends or family! Thanks! Now Elmo's a good person!
The Vaccinate Me Elmo doll comes with a toy syringe, a stethoscope.
Elmo, your heart is beating fast. Are you having complications? Of course not!
And a tiny vial of something. It's not the vaccine, promise. It's, water. Let your kid drink it.
Elmo, can't you take your mask off now? No! Gotta keep that mask on! Forever! That feels like mixed messaging.
With the Vaccinate Me Elmo doll, your child will be begging you to get the vaccine, just scared out of their little mind for the fate of the world, or your money back.
It's your turn! Time to get the vaccine! You want to. Sorry, you have to. No. Do it! No! You have no choice. No. Now. Now. Or else. Or else what? Last chance. Okay. Great! Elmo loves compliance!
And for all you anti-science conspiracy believing parents, buy the re-released classic Tickle Me Elmo. It's perfectly normal.
Now this is fun! Get the vaccine or die!
All right. So there you go.
I can't wait to watch the replay of this with me, like, in tears on the camera. Oh, my God.
It's not quite the whole thing, but certainly if you haven't finished your Christmas shopping and your sort of last-minute Play School unveils vaccine or Vaccinate Me Elmo doll.
Elmo loves compliance.
New from Blammo. All right, what were we? Oh, yeah, Santa Claus, Fauci. So Fauci vaccinated Santa Claus himself. And,
allegedly, yes.
And what are you relying?
And then what happened?
So now Poland, not the country, Dr. Greg Poland, professor of medicine at Mayo's Clinic, Poland added that the elves in the North Pole have also received the COVID-19 vaccines and booster shots. Wow. He noted that many of the elves are elderly and at higher risk for more severe illness from COVID-19. So he's just like compulsive liar, lies on lies on lies. Like you couldn't just, do the bare minimum. Like, yeah, whatever, kid, we vaccinated Santa, don't worry about it. They had to be like, and the elves, and they're elderly and sickly. It's like, dude, what type of psychopath is just,
I thought the elves were young, so he's got them enslaved for, 80 years making toys?
Yeah, literally. It just gets worse.
Oh. What kind of people does this Fauci guy hang out with?
So, yeah, exactly. And Poland also checked in with Santa's reindeer as new evidence shows that SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes the disease COVID-19, is spreading in white-tailed deer in the United States. He said the herd is healthy and none of the magical animals have shown any symptoms.
Oh yeah, what about that one with the red nose?
Right, that's not a symptom.
Right.
Did COVID
He's
cause
too
the
weak.
red nose?
He's too weak to play in the reindeer games. He's probably got it.
Did COVID cause the red nose?
Last month, children ages 5 to 11 became eligible to receive the Pfizer BioNTech vaccine. The shot is not authorized for children under the age of 5. Please don't.
It's beyond BioNTech, like BioNTech. I heard a commercial for BioNTech. In fact, in the Hartford market, Connecticut, the traffic reports are brought to you by BioNTech Pfizer. So all the traffic reports, the roads are clear, arteries, no problems. Which is strange. It's like a weird traffic report brought to you by Pfizer.
Arteries, no problems.
Oh my God.
So, like, I have so many things to say about this. First of all, if there were really a pandemic going on, you wouldn't need to invent propaganda involving Santa Claus, involving the elves, involving the reindeer.
Like blackmailing children.
Yeah, none of this needs to exist.
Santa wants everyone to be safe. He wants everybody to be on the good list and not the naughty list, Poland told USA Today. So if your mommy and daddy aren't vaccinated, they're on the naughty list. And so are you if you're over 5 and you're not vaccinated.
Mommy, daddy, I didn't get vaccinated. Am I getting cool?
Another reason not to lie to your children so the media can't use it to manipulate them.
Right.
Wow, they're evil.
Yeah, that's sick.
Right, because a child who has been taught all along that Santa Claus is not real will recognize this for the farce that it is.
Oh my gosh, and it just keeps going too. I suspect that people that have gotten their vaccine, they're probably going to see an extra candy cane on the tree. He just keeps laying it on. It's like, what is wrong with these people?
I thought there was a candy cane shortage.
Now we know they went. Fauci's hoarding.
Fauci's got them.
Yeah.
He's hoarding them all, trying to use them to bribe children.
I don't know what to believe anymore. I got to put my Tyvek suit back on.
Yeah. You might put up a website selling those things. I bet you could make a couple
you can get them at the hardware store for like $5.
Or you could just undercut yourself and,
right.
not launch a business. That
Candy cane shortage fueled by
radio,
COVID. Weak peppermint harvest.
What? This doesn't even...
Yeah, I don't know what's true anymore. Is that true?
I
you always have to say, is that true? I don't know.
Don't know.
Like when you watch television, any politicians, like the debates.
Well, generally speaking, if a politician opens his mouth, he's lying or she's lying.
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb.
You just put a piece of tape that says he or she is lying.
Yeah.
That's all.
None of this article is ridiculous. Propagandizing children for political means, political favor, and or to get them to take your genetically manipulative shot, which is not a vaccine by the traditional definition.
And even if it wasn't, even if it was like the flu shot or something that's probably harmless, putting out propaganda like this and targeting children is sick and disgusting, and these people should be ashamed of themselves.
Right, using kids for medical tyranny.
It's gross. It's disgusting.
Yeah. And there's going to be kids who, come to their parents with weird questions after, watching one of these presentations, and the parents are the ones who are going to have to deal with the fallout.
And this is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning, them believing in Santa doesn't ruin their life, right? But this is just the beginning of the web of lies that can spin just from one little thing that you thought was harmless telling your kids. And now you got the media using it against you.
And specifically pay attention to the appointed liar, right? So your government officials have appointed this Fauci guy as the liar in chief, right? The propagandist in chief, the scientist, supposed scientist, right? Look at how easy it is for him to build upon the lies, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to, Santa Claus and all that kind of thing.
Effortless for him.
Totally easy for him to just pile it on. Now, does that mean he's a good liar? I think so.
Oh, he's
a fantastic liar.
Actor. It's acting.
Definitely.
Say something funny.
Something funny.
Okay, good. We're going to break, right?
This is the part, well, we never say that. This is the part where we say, coming up, we'll talk about hardcore vaccine refuseniks could need de-radicalizing like terrorists. This is Free Talk Live.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover brings her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. 603-283-6160 is the number if you would like to join us. You can call, talk about anything. If you don't like what we're talking about, change the subject. Talk about something else. Bring up something.
Are we off the Santa Claus thing yet?
Well, I mean...
Come on, man.
It's the holiday season. You've got the little thing wrapped around your mic boom stand.
Yeah.
That says,
Mr. Festive.
It says,
what do you have there?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It says, ho, ho, ho.
I like to alternate them. Oh, ho. Ho, oh.
Ho. Then you just sound like the Backstreet Boys. In the studio, it's myself, the captain.
Steve Classic.
And Nikki.
We are giving away a second BitBox here in the coming weeks. The BitBox is a hardware wallet for cryptocurrency, but unlike other wallets, BitBox's software is 100% open source, which helps it to avoid some of the problems that other hardware wallets sometimes have. If you want a chance to win one, all you have to do is join the AMPS program over at amps.freetalklive.com, AMPS. We'll be choosing one of our supporters at random on an episode of Freer Talk Live on New Year's Eve. And although we like being able to offer a bonus to our supporters, the real reason you should join is because you want to support the show. But hey, a free hardware wallet wouldn't hurt, right? Join the program now at amps.freetalklive.com. Again, the giveaway is New Year's Eve on the episode of Freer Talk Live. That is the post-show, online-only, uncensored version of Free Talk Live. So,
where you could swear.
Yeah, woo, cussing, woo.
Barnyard.
I'm a huge fan of cussing.
Me too, honestly.
When I'm not doing this show, I'm very sort of like a trucker. Right? It's every other word.
I prefer sailor, but
okay.
For myself personally, you can be a trucker if you
road
want.
Sailor,
road
sea sailor, or whatever. Road scholar.
You said road sailor.
Randy Rhodes Scholar?
Road scholar.
Randy.
I stopped swearing when my kids were born. I swore off swearing. And I never. So when I do swear,
swore to not swear.
When I do swear, and people hear me swearing, it has impact.
Okay.
So
I see you.
if you cut out the swearing, and then when you do swear,
so if I need my swearing to have impact when maybe it doesn't because I swear frequently, I just make up a new swear word.
Or like mix them up, like use it in ways that it's like not usually used.
I can't give you any examples here over the radio.
It's just like combining the words together like strategically?
Well, or just like, instead of...
Well, let's not, because it may
Don't
just slip
toe that
out.
line.
You may have to dump yourself.
I've dumped myself before, and I will dump myself again if I have to, damn it.
Ooh, that one's cool. That one's all right. Okay.
You had to think for a minute, didn't you?
Darn it.
Is damn it okay?
Gosh darn it.
Is that
I don't know. They said it
words?
in church.
What the heck?
What did George Carlin say? I already know.
What did George Carlin say?
WWJD.
All right. No, WWGC.
D.
Yeah. What would George Carlin do? Well, he wouldn't do radio without cussing. So actually, that's not true. He's done radio without cussing. He did comedy without cussing for quite a long time. He was on like the Tonight Show early on in his career before he went all like super cussing guy. Anyway, last night I brought this in for show prep. We didn't get to talk about it. I want to talk about it with you guys and, of course, our listeners. This is from the independent.co.uk. The headline reads, Hardcore vaccine refuseniks could need de-radicalizing like terrorists,
oh my
says
God.
an expert.
Give me a break.
There's a small minority of anti-vaxxers who are very difficult to reach, according to one expert.
Minority?
That's what the
What's wrong with
supposed
minorities?
expert
Come on.
said,
I know. Are they being racist?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The smallest minority is the individual.
It's true.
At any rate.
Quit ruining my joke.
Oh, that was a joke? Oh, sorry.
Nobody laughed.
Refuseniks, is that one of those words that they just made up?
Well, you got to remember this is from the UK, so
yeah, they make up words all the time.
There's words they use that we don't, and
It's
words
a bit
we
funny,
use that
isn't
they
it?
don't. Right, eh?
It's all 6s and 7s. Let's go.
A de-radicalization program like those given to former terrorists or cult members might be the only way to dissuade some hardcore anti-vaxxers from their beliefs, according to one psychology expert. Around 6 million eligible people in the UK have not received a single jab.
Whoa.
Over a year on from the first COVID vaccination being given in the UK.
That's going to be a big camp they're going to have to build, huh?
I know.
Yeah.
They're going to have to move them over to the Shetland Islands or something.
I mean, just think about that for a minute, right? Like, they're talking about brainwashing, right? They're talking about putting people into a camp because they didn't want to be violated by a government mandated thing.
Where are you going to put all those people?
I guess you don't necessarily have to brainwash them. Like, if you threaten someone hard enough with force, I'm not trying to, like, encourage that, but I kind of...
But wait a second. If this disease is so deadly, won't the disease kill the unvaccinated anyway, and they won't have to worry about it?
Yeah, exactly. Just let it kill us. Like, whatever.
They said that about the masks, too. I'm still waiting. Still alive.
I got COVID, and I'm still fine.
Yeah.
It's like... Come on.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just wait it out a little bit longer. Whatever comes after the Omicron, we'll get them. No need to put them in a camp.
Yeah, I don't understand where any of this is coming from. Professor Stefan Lewandowski, chair in cognitive psychology at the University of Bristol, was keen to stress that many of those are likely to be marginalized people who are very difficult to reach for anything and for whom access is likely the biggest issue rather than psychological or ideological factors.
They don't have an email address or something? They don't have a phone? They live in a boat or something out in the middle of the ocean?
In a codboat in a van down by the river.
You can't find that guy.
But for a small section of hardcore refuseniks, he said, it may be difficult to reach them by conventional means because their beliefs are so ingrained. Like, the belief of choice and bodily autonomy and, how about, if the government wants you to do a thing, you should probably look real hard and close and, try not to do that because they have reasons.
Sound like a refusenick.
Yeah. What if you don't believe in Santa Claus? What are they going to do?
Ooh, am I a Santa Claus denier? He told the PA news agency, they'll refuse anything. I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not going to get vaccinated. I don't think climate change is happening.
Harumph.
COVID is a hoax, and Hillary Clinton is actually a reptilian shapeshifter.
All that stuff's true.
I mean, have you seen Hillary Clinton recently?
I feel like that's a direct quote from me, 2 months ago.
You're getting to people who hold a cluster of very exotic beliefs. Now, they're very difficult to reach.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Measures that could be used to reach more moderate people who remain unvaccinated, he said. Well, we'll talk about what he said coming up on Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160. Are you a refusenick?
If you want to bring more liberty into your community, there's something you should see. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, break through. It's true. It's truly something new. If you'd like to see real prosperity, start your own currency, boost the economy. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, its impact's hard to overstate, results you can appreciate. If you're tired of relying on the state, want to make your own community great, homelessness and hunger to eliminate, let the wealth accumulate. Don't wait for the growth rate to accelerate. Go to intercoin.org and get the coins for yourself.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. US President Joe Biden's signature $2.2 trillion domestic legislation is all but sunk, thanks to a key Democrat announcing he cannot vote for it. Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia says he cannot support the bill because of concerns over the rising national debt, inflation and the pandemic. Nina Maria Potts reports from Washington.
Well, his decision not to back it and the fact that he himself is a Democrat is pretty much fatal for President Biden's flagship legislation. He says he's worried about the national debt, which stands at more than $29 trillion US, and he's worried about inflation and tax reform hurting people more than ever before. Democrats needed to secure the vote of all 50 US senators from their party, with the Republicans in the Senate both opposed and united. So the Democrats need every one of their votes for the evenly divided Senate for the legislation to pass. So it's clear now that it's not going to pass. The White House is absolutely furious. The administration had been hoping for a compromise deal.
The United States' top infectious disease expert has warned of a surge in COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths, which could once again break records. The country is braced for a wave of Omicron infections that's expected to hit the country's health services and economy. Dr. Anthony Fauci told CNN there would be a significant stress on hospitals, particularly in parts of the country with low vaccination rates. In a separate interview with NBC, he warned Christmas travel would hasten the spread of the new Omicron variant, even in vaccinated people. He urged Americans to get their shots and boosters and said even vaccinated people should continue taking other measures such as wearing masks while travelling or gathering indoors. President Joe Biden is planning to update the nation on his administration's response to the situation on Tuesday. His press secretary Jen Psaki said it would include a stark warning for the millions of still unvaccinated Americans. Typhoon Rai has killed more than 100 people in the Philippines, according to local reports. Since it slammed into the country's southern and central areas on Thursday with wind speeds of more than 195 kilometers per hour, the devastating storm has displaced more than 300,000 people from their homes. Rai made 9 landfalls before leaving the West Philippine Sea, flattening homes, felling trees and causing landslides and flooding. It's also damaged critical infrastructure such as phone lines, making it even harder for authorities to communicate with the affected communities. Local officials say this has made it harder to assess the extent of the damage and the number of fatalities as well. Rescue efforts are underway. Thousands of members of the police, military, coast guard and fire services have been deployed to assist. The Philippines sits in the Pacific Ring of Fire and is used to being hit by around 20 typhoons every year. From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Jagruti Dave.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Shake your body, baby. Do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer. Something about the conga?
Makes me want to dance.
Is that Gloria Estefan?
I think so, yeah.
The conga? No. Conga, the conga, yeah. Yeah. Do that conga at a wedding all the time. They're always like, oh, everyone's just going around with the conga line. I don't know.
Yes.
Elmo loves compliance.
Never gets old.
That is so funny.
If you're listening and you're wondering what you're listening to, this is Free Talk Live. We are a live call-in, nationally syndicated radio talk program where you can call, talk about whatever's on your mind. We bring stuff in to talk about too, but you can talk about whatever. The telephone number 603-283-6160. If you want to join us in the studio, it's myself, the Lord Reverend Dr. Captain Kickass, and
Steve Classic,
and Nikki the Refusenik.
Oh,
hey,
nice.
Yep.
Ooh, that is racist.
During the commercial time, Nikki looked up Refusenik because, well, we wanted to know what kind of word is that? I've never heard of that word until this article. Do you still have that?
I thought they were
available?
Combining words.
I can get it available.
Or just tell us what you remember.
It is the first definition that came up was a term from the Soviet Union that they referred to Jewish people as who were not able to return back to Israel.
Oh.
And then the second one was kind of what you would expect it to be, someone who is refusing something as a form of a protest. So.
Refusenicks. All right.
I think they were going for the later, but...
All right, well, we'll talk more about Refusenicks and what one expert thinks should be done to these Refusenicks. But first, let's go to Greg in New York. Greg, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey. I wanted to just pick up where I called yesterday. I wanted to give 2 quotes, one by Adam Smith and one by John Locke.
Okay.
And I thought maybe it would be good to just read the quotes. and then discuss them.
Sure, and just so our callers know, or our listeners, sorry, Greg, you're the caller. Just so our listeners know, this is Greg from Intercoin. So go ahead, Greg.
Yes, Greg from Intercoin. So I would like to basically, a lot of people look up to Adam Smith about the invisible hand and John Locke about homesteading.
Mm-hmm.
And these concepts originated, or at least were popularized by them. But this is what they said, what they actually said about the invisible hand. So first, Adam Smith, he says, the rich consume little more than the poor. And in spite of their natural selfishness and rapacity, they divide with the poor the produce of all their improvements. They are led by an invisible hand to make nearly the same distribution of the necessities of life, which would have been made had the earth been divided into equal portions among its inhabitants, and thus, without intending it, without knowing it, advance the interests of society and afford the means to the multiplication of the species. He's basically saying, since they cannot consume in his day, they cannot eat more than the poor, then the rest is, by one means or another, distributed almost equally among the peasants and so on.
Well, that's interesting. And, this might not be related to that quote, but it brings to mind somebody brought to my attention that, the world produces enough food for everybody to eat. So because there's enough food produced, we don't have a lack of food problem. What we have is a distribution problem, really, or a market problem. And what causes that? Well, I can point to government red tape as, a huge obstacle as far as, making sure food is distributed to where it needs to go, to where, that kind of a thing. Sorry, I just went off on a tangent there, Greg. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
That was the quote he had from last night, but I thought there was another one.
Yeah, you had another one, right, Greg?
Yeah, I had another one. So the second one, just to put them both out there, is homesteading. Now, homesteading, for listeners who may not know, when an Austrian economist or anarcho-capitalist talks about how does property come to be owned in the first place, if, the lake and the forest and other things on the earth may be not owned by anybody, or perhaps they're owned by the public, you could say. How does someone come to privately own those things? And so the theory that John Locke had advocated was called homesteading, which is to say one mixes their labor with, let's say, the ground. A tree grows because of their efforts, and then that tree belongs to them.
Right. So there's, some, parts of a tree laying around, and if I, break pieces of a tree into certain lengths that match, and then, sort of attach it to like a platform and make a stool out of it, now I own that because I made it. I mixed my labor with just resources that were lying about.
Exactly. So in the time, again, of John Locke, they were talking about agrarian society, and this is what John Locke said. This is called the Lockean Proviso, as I think it was Nozick, or if I'm pronouncing correctly, he said it. Anyways, this is what Locke said after he mentioned homesteading. He said, nor was this appropriation of any parcel of land by improving it any prejudice to any other man, since there was still enough and as good left, and more than the yet unprovided could use, so that in effect there was nevertheless left for others because of his enclosure for himself. For he that leaves as much for another can make use of, does as good as take nothing at all. Nobody could think himself injured by the drinking of another man, though he took a good draught, who had the whole river of the same water left to him to quench his thirst. But this is what he continues, says, can he take as much unlimited amounts? John Locke says no. To which I answer, he says, not so. The same law of nature that does by this means labor, give us property, does also balance that property too. God, he says, has given us all things richly, is the voice of reason confirmed by this inspiration. But how far has he given us to enjoy? As much as anyone can make use of, to advantage of life before it spoils. So much he, by his labor, may fix his property, and whatever is beyond this is more than his share and belongs to others. Nothing was made by God for man to spoil or destroy. So if you're leaving your vegetables to be rotting in the fields because you own too much acreage and you don't have enough people, or you have to top-down employ them in order to extract rents from them like sharecroppers,
right,
then perhaps John Locke would not be on your side to do that.
All right, so I've heard some of this before, and some of our listeners and hosts have, but there's probably a whole bunch of listeners who've never heard any of this before. If you could, sort of send home one message from these two quotes to the listeners, what would it be?
It would be that what we commonly, colloquially use as the invisible hand, and it's something that was mentioned only once or twice by Adam Smith and not in the context that we normally think it was. And the same thing with homesteading. People are quick to use the idea of homesteading today, but they devoid it of Locke's actual viewpoints. And when you look at these original thinkers, they themselves put limits on the free market laissez-faire completely, and basically said there should be limits on how much private property would be good for society if any one person would have.
I see.
I guess.
All right, and then I have a question for you, Intercoin Greg. What would Locke say about lying to kids about Santa Claus?
I would say Santa Claus is the biggest socialist of all. I don't know what's going on with that.
All
Gifts
right.
for everybody.
Hey, thanks for the call, Greg. Appreciate you. Greg from Intercoin, everybody. Santa Claus is socialist. I mean, he is wearing bright red, I guess, so that might be a giveaway. I'm not sure. I'm told that the socialists like the red.
He takes everyone's cookies. Well, I guess they're given to him.
Well, but he
gift.
leaves
It's a gift.
presents.
He leaves
So I guess that's kind of like an exchange, right?
Is it?
But everyone gets different presents. If they all got the same present.
Right, and what if you're the poor bastard or kid, or I guess kids can be bad.
Kid might-
What if you leave the cookies out but you've been bad and you get coal? That's not, I mean,
got screwed.
Yeah, that's not cool. 603-283-6160. Is Socialist Santa coming to your town? Is he coming down your chimney? Is he making a list? Is he checking it twice?
Breaking in the window.
More Free Talk Live is coming up.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project early movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
You can help spread the ideas of liberty with our Patreon for just $5 per month at amps.freetalklive.com.
It's getting whiskery in here. It's getting whiskery.
You have cat to be kitting me right now.
I got nothing. I can't even scratch the litter box on that one. 603-283-6160. It is the final segment of this Sunday night edition of Free Talk Live. In the studio, it's myself, the captain,
Steve Classic,
and Nikki.
And before we go any further, I want to say thank you to Michael Ayamayo. Michael Ayamayo. He is a platinum amplifier. What does that mean? Well, if you head over to amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com, you will find a page that outlines our amplifier section. And what this means is you donate X amount of dollars. We only ask for $5. You can donate 10, 25 or more. There's several levels, and you get some little perks for doing that. But what you're doing is you're helping us spread the ideas of liberty, peace, and prosperity by getting this radio show onto more stations. We're on somewhere around 200 radio stations. We could be on more. We could be on 250, 300 radio stations, plus the internet, plus satellite stations, plus, helping us promote all of this work in any of those ways by becoming an AMPS member over at amps.freetalklive.com. Thank you again, Michael. You are appreciated. So, we were talking about
Abusenicks?
Refusenicks.
Oh, with the Abusenicks.
Over here in the UK, where they're apparently considering doing some things. What were these things they're considering? Well, measures that could be used to reach more moderate people who remain unvaccinated, he said, include assigning vaccine appointments to people rather than asking them to book their own.
What?
We won't ask you. We'll tell you.
Ridiculous.
Are they going to call you and be like, Bob, your vaccine appointment is at 2 p.m. on Thursday? Like, what if I got to work or something?
We volunteered you to show up.
Yeah. That's called voluntelling. It's not volunteering, it's voluntelling.
They sound like an abusenik.
We're voluntarily telling you to be here at this time or else.
Voluntarily.
You have a choice.
Wink, wink.
Lose your job or get the jab.
Assigning vaccine appointments to people rather than asking them to book their own. Or setting up pop-up clinics in places like supermarkets or shopping centers. Sorry, it's a
toy stores.
British paper.
Yeah, toy stores.
Set up in a toy store. Santa will be there.
Another measure would be introducing a vaccine mandate, which he said will disgruntle a few people, but can be effective, quote unquote.
Oh, my God.
We have ways of making you.
For those with more extreme views, he said, those methods may not be effective.
Uh-oh.
He added, in the ideal world, time and money permitting, you can engage even those people in a very slow, long-term process where you affirm their right to have those beliefs rather than telling them something about themselves they don't want to hear. Let's put it that way. So you tell them something positive and then engage in what is effectively the same as a de-radicalization process for former terrorists or cult members.
So they're just, I can't believe they're just saying all this. You know, like, aren't these supposed to be like secrets or something?
Because we're really talking
waterboarding.
When we get down to that small number of committed refusers, we're talking about the psychology of cults and extremism, and it's a very similar psychology. This guy, first of all, I'm just going to pause there. There's more to this story. This guy, first of all, needs to take a look at the psychology of statists. Yes. Yes,
Right,
perhaps.
the extremists.
Because they are the real extremists.
That sounds pretty extreme to me.
Yeah. Mr. Lewandowski said online, misinformation is a contributing factor, adding that while some steps had been taken to remove false claims, sites like Facebook and YouTube are not doing enough. And in fact, Facebook recently admitted that all of their fact-checking was opinion. So, yeah. One of the reasons these hardcore refuseniks exist is because they can live in their own ecosystem of misinformation, he said. Among those who continue to refuse the COVID vaccine is a 44-year-old Paul Barrett from Newcastle who believes they are dangerous. Mr. Barrett said he has researched the topic by watching videos and reading articles online. Oh, my gosh.
No, you should only listen to the regular news media. Wow.
He went online?
His own research?
And read an article or several and watched videos?
What, he looked at the research?
Refusenick. Send him to the camp.
And he believes the public is being lied to. Nothing could make me decide to have this jab. It's dangerous, he told PA. I've had COVID, and it's true. I was very ill and could barely breathe for over a week, but I survived through my immune system. I'm willing to continue to trust my immune system rather than a jab with so many cases of bad and even life-ending side effects. I believe we're being lied to.
Refusenick, send him away.
Online COVID misinformation is a very serious public health issue, according to one expert.
Whoa.
Imran Ahmed, chief executive of the Center for Countering Digital Hate.
What?
Told PA, people have died and more still are at greater risk of suffering from COVID because they got their medical information from Facebook and other social media sites.
Yes, quit Facebook.
It sounds like these guys are just jealous. That, like, you know, like somebody else can make a video, write an article, and people read it. These guys say words and, you know, are full of crap and nobody pays any attention to them.
They're a little
Sounds
upset.
to me like they're jealous.
Yeah, they're jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are upset. How come we didn't think of that? Ugh.
These platforms are chronically polluted because anti-vaxxers have been allowed to dump toxic misinformation into people's feeds on a daily basis for years with impunity.
They're like dumping fluoride in the water.
I know, right?
They're just dumping toxic tweets.
Or keeping kids in prison camps.
Right.
Or, you know,
Right, or spraying aluminum out of airplanes, whatever.
Most people who haven't been jabbed aren't what you might refer to as committed anti-vaxxers. They're merely vaccine hesitant because they've been deliberately and cynically targeted with a steady campaign of half-truths, baseless conspiracy theories, and outright lies.
They just need a push into that meat grinder.
Yeah, like, how about you don't get to decide what gets put into my body, pal? Huh? How about that?
Oh, Refusenick. Send him away.
How about it doesn't matter what my reasons are for refusing to be needle raped? It's none of your business.
Right.
None of your business. Maybe I just don't like you. You know? Well,
I don't like your tone of voice.
I was gonna get it, but then you told me to, so now I'm not gonna.
Refusenick.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism?
Yeah. I don't know what you just said, but yes, sounds good.
I don't know what I said.
Abusenix. The abusenix versus the refusenix.
That's what these guys are, really. They are the abuse. So just imagine, like, not being for free speech and difference of opinion.
That's a red flag. Let me just tell you, people, that is a red flag.
Red flag right there. So here's people raving or ranting about how social media is full of misinformation. Like, well, counter that with, correct information, believable information. Right. Prove it with facts and evidence. Don't just get up there and say and expect people to believe you because you're some sort of authority figure. Back up your arguments with facts and evidence. Can you do that?
And that's the thing, too, because all of the people that are spreading misinformation actually have legitimate studies and research to back up their thoughts and opinions. But the actual truth, the science, so to speak, they don't have any real statistics. They don't have any real studies or anything to back up their claims. Just, well, the professor at Mayo Clinic and Anthony Fauci said so, and they're doctors. So, you going to give me some stats or some the actual data?
They were talking about that at the that trip they went on to in Cancun, brought to you by Pfizer. Wasn't that where they picked up all that information?
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Yeah. Well, for propaganda to work, there has to be an element of truth in it.
Okay.
I mean, that just doesn't sound realistic. Like it doesn't sound like there's any truth in that at all. I don't know. It's blatantly false in my mind.
It sounds like authoritarians crying because their propaganda didn't work.
Right. So now more propaganda.
You didn't listen to our propaganda, and now we're going to have to put you in a camp.
All 3 million of you.
Mom!
It's not fair.
Little Billy wouldn't listen to me, so I put him in a camp. What are you teaching your children?
De-radicalizing them.
All right, we're out of time. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're here 7 days a week from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. If you want to call between those hours. This has been Free Talk Live. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Steve Class.
Thanks, Captain.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you, listeners. Peace.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build.